And I'm live. Welcome to TikTok Live. I am on TikTok Live. And I'm on YouTube, and I am live streaming on YouTube. Oh, that's interesting. On TikTok, you can't tell that I didn't shave. But on my 4K camera on YouTube, you can see I didn't shave. Okay, well, there you go. More likes can attract more viewers. Keep it up. Thank you. I have one like. I appreciate that. Somebody jumped on and just liked my live stream automatically. That's pretty cool. All right. We got some good stuff to talk about. I remember way back when, I think it was yesterday, that I said that the chains were finally off of silver. Well, silver was up almost 7% today. In one day. We are now trading at $33.96, almost $34. What's the value of the silver cards? More, more than that, more than $33.96. You're probably looking at a couple bucks over spot minimum, probably, because silver cards are hard to get. Probably $2.50 to $3. Now the good news is that still kicks crap out of guys like APMEX, who, let's see, bars, rounds, 1 ounce rounds, boom. Okay, so they are right now, for the average size order, they are, almost $3 over spot. That's huge. But again, that's kind of what you would expect. If you're, if you've got silver going up that fast, that means that the market is just cranking, which means the market's really tight. So the difference between bid and ask is probably only a few cents. And it means that we're going to be running out real soon. Let's see. I'm curious about something. They've got a little bit in stock at APMEX, which is good. Let's go back and see if all their stuff, available November 1st. That's interesting that the largest wholesaler in the country is saying November 1st. Okay, well, November 1st. It is what it is. It's only, 13 days away? About 37. Don't pay that. Do not pay that for silver cards. That's too much. Let's see. Right now, APMEX rounds, the Peace Dollar rounds are $3.49 over. Oh, actually, if you can get them for 37, that's not bad, because right now silver rounds at APMEX are $37.45. That's if you buy 500 or more. So, the silver market is going to take off, and it's already started. I mean, it started 3 years ago when it was at 14. Let's take a look. Let's see what it was at. Let's see. Over 5 years, I got into it in March of 2020. It was at $12.66, and now it's at 34. So that gives you an idea of where we've come from since then. I mean, that is just an absolutely enormous jump. 1266 to 34 it's not bad. That's not bad. It's not quite 300%, but we're closing in on 300%, folks. So now the question is, why? What is going on? Well, let's see. U.S. ends fiscal year of 2024 paying a record of $1.1 trillion in interest expenses. Now, the thing is, what you have to understand is that $1 trillion of our tax money goes to pay for stuff that we don't even get. That's the reality. We're not getting any of this crap, but we're still paying for it. This is stuff that we paid for, we bought, we borrowed money for 15, 20, 30 years ago. And now we're paying for it, which is really horrifying because if you think about it, all the money that we're spending now, we're spending $1 trillion every 90 days. That's just insanity. I mean, that's billions of dollars every day. And because of that, our kids are going to have an amount of debt that's completely impossible. It's just completely impossible. Let's see. Ooh, Trump was pretty brutally roasting the Dems. He said, and I quote, so don't think I'm saying this because I wouldn't say this. I used to think Dems were crazy for saying that men can have periods, but then I met Tim Walz. Ooh, that's a roast. Of course, it was a roast. That's what it was. So, let's see. The deadliest government illusion. Well, we all know what that is. Okay. Already requesting a second THAAD missile defense battery from the U.S. Yeah, that's just what we need. We need more American troops in the crossfire because, they don't know how to use those, right? So in order to give them the THAAD missile system, we also have to give them personnel to use the system. Unbelievable. We're just, I remember reading reports. Oh, somebody got censored already. Supposed to be, why is it that the only joke people had to pay attention to? I don't know, but they censored that comment. Oh, and then the next thing it says is some comments in this live were filtered to protect the community's experience. Well, they're short as straw. You just got filtered for the community's experience. And believe me, the other night I got kicked off for hate speech because I was joking with a guy, or bullying because I was joking about the fact that he got the words corn dog censored. And I was just joking with him about, hey, AI must hate you. And they kicked me off for bullying. Now, they let me go back on the next day, but first-hand censorship of who I am. Yep. It's not you. That's the good news. They're short of straw. It's not you. It's everyone with an opinion. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. 2,000 likes would be outstanding. And by the way, follow me on TikTok, and that helps all the algorithms as well, because we all know that they've literally kept me at 118,000 followers for a year. It took me a couple years to get to 118,000, and for a year, I haven't been able to get another 1,000. Now, maybe it's just me and I'm just paranoid, but that seems like they're shadow banning me. Shadow ban. It sounds ominous, doesn't it? Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Harris won't bring back the draft. Completely untrue. I don't even know what that means. I just don't type much. Be careful. You could be booted for saying we love, that guy. Yeah, I know. There's a selective service when you turn 18. Yeah, I know. I didn't have to sign up for the selective service when I was 18. You know why? Because I joined the Marine Corps at 17. Yeah, 3396. I know. That's what I said. Yes, it is. Now, it might take a break tomorrow. That's why all of you who were nice enough to text me and call me today saying, okay, I'm in. I want to buy silver. I said no. I had a guy call me and say, look, did I screw up? Because he sent me a text last night after close and said, hey, I want 2,000 ounces. And I said, okay, first thing in the morning. And when I saw the prices, I called him and said, nope. I do not want to buy into this craziness right here. So hopefully tomorrow we will see a little bit of a break. We might even see a pullback of $1 or so. That would be fantastic, because then all of you guys who texted me and said you wanted silver, then I'll take your money and I'll buy some silver for you. But if I can save you $1 an ounce, why not? And I know it's a gamble because that court case may have uncorked all hell breaking loose. I don't know that. That's the problem. I can't tell you that silver is not on its way to 65 right now. But I can tell you this, if we have another day on Monday, like today, if everybody calms down and on Monday the shit still hits the fan in silver, then we got to go. We got to go. But if we have a little bit of a pullback, because remember, the banks don't just do shorts on silver to spoof. That's what they call it, spoofing, which is fraudulently selling silver they don't have. If they can't do that, they do have other tools in their toolkit. Remember, they control the press. Who owns the press? BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street. Well, a lot of these companies, including JP Morgan's got 11 billion ounces of silver, and they also have more shorts on silver than anyone else, which means if they get caught looking the wrong way, it could cost them billions of dollars per dollar that goes up. So they're going to do everything in their toolkit, and we're going to find out Monday what that is, or over the weekend what that is, to push it down. If they can't push it down, then hey, you know what? It's a whole new world in the market of silver. It is a whole new day dawning. And of course, the reality is it should be at 40-1 with gold. Well, right now it's at 89-1. That's irrational. That doesn't make sense. Both of those precious metals are incredibly important in electronics, in industry, and as precious metals. Now, I understand gold gets all the hype. However, traditionally, and this is going back hundreds of years, whenever gold goes up, it goes up first. And then silver goes up, and it goes up farther as far as a percentage. The 70s were a perfect example. Gold went up 600% from the mid 70s to the late 70s. Silver went up 700%. And let's face it, an extra 100% is nothing to laugh at. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you're putting $100,000, $200,000 in it. An extra 100% is definitely not something to laugh at. Scam Central M. That sounds almost like something that you would type into your computer. Scam Central Control M. And then it would just get rid of all the propaganda on the internet. Wouldn't that be nice? That'd be so cool. Free Bannon. Is Bannon in prison right now? He probably is, isn't he? All the guys who stuck by Trump seem to be going to prison. Well, we'll see how long that lasts. I don't think that they'll stay in prison if Trump gets elected. They will probably get pardoned, or their sentences commuted, or something along those lines. Because obviously, there's a whole lot going on there. This is lawfare to the umpteenth degree. All right, let's get back to the news here. The collapse of Kamala. We are all watching that live. China's coal production surged in September. What? Coal accounts for about 60% of China's generation. Wait, I thought they were going green. Aren't they going green with us? Aren't they gonna keep up with us going green and spending trillions of dollars on technologies that don't work yet? Uh-oh. Old man gold hunter, you got censored, big boy. The Democrats playing dirty. That's what it says, and they censored that. What are you reading from? Oh, I love Zero Hedge. They cut through the BS and they get right to it. Oh God, the Hunt brothers tried to corner the silver market. That's the oldest wives' tale in the world. You can't corner the silver market unless you have trillions of dollars, and they only had billions. Billions of dollars doesn't corner the silver market. What they were trying to do, because they're very proud Texans, is they were trying to set up a currency for Texas in the last year that it could secede from the nation legally, which was 1980. After 1980, they were a permanent state without any recourse. Before 1980, they had a 100-year agreement with the United States that they would stay a state and not just a territory, but only if they signed the agreement every year. So the Hunt brothers came up with this great idea to come up with a silver standard to back a currency with silver and oil. And it would have worked, except the feds found out what they were doing, and the federal government stepped in, arrested them, and said, look, you can either say you were trying to corner the market and get a slap on the wrist for being greedy, or you can stick with your real story and go to prison for the rest of your lives. That was in the 70s. No, I'm aware of that. I know exactly when it was. It was 1979. And that's because they were trying to get enough silver to back a currency for Texas. It's not something a lot of people know, but if you know enough rich old Texans, you know that story, especially if they're oil billionaires, because they were all behind it. Well, that's the point. They'd have to fight, but they wouldn't have to fight if they just seceded legally, and they were allowed to secede legally. When they agreed to go from a territory to a state, they said, look, we're not sure that we want to do this, so let's do it year to year. And the federal government really was in a weak position, and they said, okay, year to year sounds good. That's great with us. And it was just after the Civil War, so they said, all right, let's do it your way, Texas. Yep, they did, of course. Look, that's, I say that on Jesus Christ, it is true. Truth. Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, I don't have any reason to lie to you guys about stuff like this because it's ancient history, but it'll come out eventually. It's just one of those things where the Hunt brothers are still alive. The trucking company's still going. They still do a lot of oil service stuff, and it's embarrassing. I mean, not to them and not to people who are like true Texans. And Texans are they're proud to be members of the United States, but they're even prouder to be Texans. You sold a lot of silver dollars. Well, you made a ton of money then. You made a ton of money. The elite will be destroyed. Well, they tend to destroy themselves because they just don't know when to quit. They don't know when to stop squeezing the common man. And eventually, when the common man sees his wife and his kids, or if she sees her husband and her kids going hungry, well, that's a hell of a powerful motivator. And right now they've kept the country. When people say fat and happy, that's literally what they've done with the entire United States. Not really sure what's to be proud of being American when you see the major cities. Well, again, it's always a pendulum. It swings back and forth. Oh, I know it was $48, 48 something an ounce. That was the ask. The bid. The ask was $50. I'd rather be a Texan. That's funny. They censored that comment. That's why nobody can see that there, St. Mark, because they censored it. Why? I don't know. Uncle Tony's from Texas. Awesome. During the housing market crash, yeah, there's a lot of people, that they look at the numbers and the numbers from the housing crash and the amount of homes that were lost, et cetera. What they don't look at is the human toll. How many people, unalived themselves because of losing everything? That's the problem. 1984 should come to mind. With the amount of doublespeak we have now, it's absolutely terrifying. Words definitely have weight. That's the thing. You can unalive a person, but you can't unalive an ideal. That's the real key to this. You can't off an idea. Once an idea is out there and everybody thinks about it and knows that it's true, you ain't getting rid of it. Doesn't matter what you do. And yeah, that's the problem that we have right now, is that there are so many people out there that feel like, what can I do? What can I do? Well, I'm just one person. But that's how it always starts. Korea sending troops to Russia. North Korea? That is why Donald Trump's winning. There are a lot of really pissed off people. By the way, old man Gold Hunter, I just bought my my gold kit. I got my Garrett was it Goldfinder? I don't know, some, Goldfinder 10,000 or whatever it is. Yeah. Well, that's the thing, is that, truly free speech, no, there it's, and again, we're still way ahead of a lot of places. I did actually see on the news that a guy got arrested and tried and sent to prison in Australia for 20 months because he was yelling something at a protest that somebody didn't like, and it wasn't yelling anything racist or hateful. He was just yelling about his country, and apparently that was it. That's true. I am just a big kid. Look, you got to grow old. That's just part of the cycle, but you don't have to grow up. Growing up sucks. Uh-huh. Yeah, well, you want to talk about Ponzi scheme? Holy smoke! Yeah, there, and again, England is doing some things that are just absolutely insane, and I can't talk about what I believe is going to happen in Europe on TikTok. I can talk about it on YouTube, and worst case scenario, it may get demonetized. They may demonetize the video, but they won't take it down or kick me off for a certain amount of time. Oh, Jeremy got censored. Obama was Apollo over terror readers. I have no idea what that even means. Kamala's husband land grab Vanguard BlackRock. Don't really know too much about him. I saw the thing with Candace Owens. That was very interesting. Come back to report. Can you actually see the comet? That would be very interesting. I wasn't even sure if you could see the comet. Wait, if the comet's going around the sun, you'd have to look directly at the sun to see the comet, right? That doesn't sound like something I'd want to do. That's true. That just because they say that you're not allowed to say something, let's test that theory, shall we? Let's all agree that we'll just keep testing that theory and that we will not comply. NATO membership or nuclear weapons. Wow. Zelensky stuns allies with his demand. So basically he's saying, look, either put me in NATO and start World War III or give me nuclear weapons and start World War III. That is nuts. Well, that's the problem, isn't it? That is the problem. Oh, Pelosi's husband. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. What do I think about Hunter? I don't think about Hunter at all. I mean, that's just a sad, sad situation. And I was lucky enough to grow up in Hollywood and Beverly Hills. I saw what the rich kids were like, and they were all arrogant, and most of them were ignorant of what really went on in the world. I was lucky. My girlfriend at the time, her father was a billionaire, but she had gone on a semester at sea. And one of the places that they stopped was India. And she was very young at the time. She was 16 years old when she went on this semester at sea, which is basically, it's a cruise. To go all around the world, and you have classes during the day. You actually go to school on the ship, and then they stop in these exotic locations. It's a very cool thing. Well, she got to see what poverty was really like, and it really tore her up. She'd never seen anything like it. It was almost like what happened with Buddha when he left the palace for the first time. Oh, look at that guy. You got censored. BlackRock and Vanguard, Kamala husband, shareholder in lithium mines, and land grab. Okay. Did you hear DOD instigated and changed military directives to include lethal force? Yeah, actually, that's all over the news now. I said it the first night, and I couldn't live on $60K a month. Yeah, you remember I told you about her what's it called? Her allowance. Her allowance was only $60K a month, and she bitched about it constantly. I couldn't believe it. By the way, the DOD thing, when I said it the first night, somebody popped it up there, and I said, no, that doesn't sound right. And then I went and checked online, and sure enough, I actually read the DOD statement itself. I pulled it up and I went to DOD, and they made it very hard to find. It's Article 5204-01. Yeah, I went ahead and memorized it for you. And when I looked it up, I was shocked because it does say that local or state law enforcement can actually request military to come in, and they are authorized to use deadly force against Americans when they feel threatened. Wow. If boot camp being softer changes anything. Yeah, we're going to find out the hard way. That's a fact. Let's see. Government stealing Social Security, it's giving to illegals. What's new, man? We gave FEMA $12 billion, and somehow they pissed it all away. And then the best part is they actually lied and said that I saw Karine Jean-Pierre at the podium in a press conference, and she said, "No, we are not giving illegal immigrants money." And then they showed a clip of her last year saying that any local city, county, whatever, municipality can request money from FEMA for asylum seekers. Well, okay, so which one's true? You literally said that you didn't do that, and then in a different press conference, you said you did do that. Again, you just never know what the government's actually doing behind your back right now, and that has got to stop. We'll get K-bar gender reassignments. Yeah, unfortunately, that's probably true. FEMA is bringing troops into Ashland, North Carolina, I assume. Putin and Xi will free us. I doubt very seriously that Xi would free us, but I do have a little bit more faith in Putin, simply because I've watched lots of his conferences, speeches, when he gives speeches to the United Nations, etc. I watch because this guy's supposed to be the Antichrist. He's supposed to be the devil. So I want to know, what does the devil think? Well, as it turns out, he doesn't say anything even close to what he's being accused of. I saw him actually say he did not, under any circumstances, ever want to go to war with the United States, period, because he was absolutely certain they'd lose. And he didn't want to mess with NATO, because with NATO, it means it's NATO and the United States, and they'd have even less of a chance. Well, that's pretty fucking honest, if you ask me. I mean, it'll happen. FEMA has troops not far from where I live. FEMA troops. I'm not sure about that. Yeah, he's if we could have a president that was as well spoken and knowledgeable as Putin, we'd be great. And especially if he was a nationalist like Putin is. He's a nationalist. And you know what? They make that sound like that's horrible. The mainstream media tries to make that sound like that's some kind of capital offense. But the reality is, as an American, I have no problem helping other countries after we help each other first. So America first is not, it's not some kind of racist slander against anybody else. It's just a simple fact of life. I love my country and I love the people in my country, and I want to help the people in my country, especially if they're actually citizens of my country. And you know what? I don't care if they were born here or if they moved here and became citizens the old-fashioned way. Doesn't matter to me at all. If they just worked their ass off and got their citizenship because they came here legally, in most cases, that makes them even more American than most of us, because they had to earn it. We were born with it if we were born here. And a lot of us take it for granted. They don't. They came here from third world countries and worked their ass off to become a citizen of the United States. And they really, really appreciate that. I've helped a lot of people. Like I helped a woman from Brazil study for her citizenship test. And man, she took it more serious. She had a PhD and a master's in engineering. Extremely, extremely bright woman, works at Intel. I mean, this is not somebody who's a drag on our economy. And she was actually really worried. She's like, when I did my master's thesis, I wasn't this scared. I was like, wow. It really showed me, like, She really wants to be a citizen more than anything else in the world. That's awesome. Well, he does know where the bodies are buried, but then again, so does Donald Trump now. We've had 4 years to look back and see what his administration did in the form of lies and manipulation of him. And he knows exactly who was on his side and who was not on his side. And I have a funny feeling that guys like Pompeo are not going to be happy if he gets elected, because there's a guy who knows where a lot of bodies are buried. And as he said, first he went to, I believe it was West Point, or was it the Naval Academy? He graduated with this whole idea of honor and integrity and honesty. And then he went to the CIA, where basically everybody's paid to lie. He said that in a press conference. And I thought, wow. So he's admitting that he's a professional liar. Okay, well, that's that. Well, now, when you say leave their stuff where they came from, if you're talking about their, their preferences as far as like societal stuff, yeah. If you want to come to the United States, then be an American. Don't say, "Oh, I'm here, but I hate America." Okay, then go somewhere else. That's it. We're not. We are who we are. What about Trudeau? Justin Trudeau has turned out to be quite a disappointment, to say the least. West Point grad, yeah, that's what I was afraid of. If Donald Trump wins, is Donald Trump wins to be a whole bunch of airplanes that go to Australia full of Democrats? No, that's not true. They never do. They always say they will, but they never do. They always say, if he wins, I'm leaving the country. But how many of them left the country when he won last time? 0. Because they're just full of crap. They say it, but then they also say that he's a dictator. Was he a dictator last time? No. Did he go after and try to destroy the black man's promise in America? No. As a matter of fact, highest African American employment in history was under him. Was that an accident? Obama was there for 8 years and couldn't say that. So, like our benefits, right? No, I wouldn't count on the benefits. That's the thing, is what I would really like to see is I would really like to see the Democrats have sort of an awakening. And I don't know how that happens. I don't know if there's just a fundamental difference between us and them. And when I say us, I'm not a Republican. I'm a libertarian. I even think that the Republicans are a little soft-headed. So I'm very, very independent in my thinking. But as a former Democrat, because, I mean, look, I joined the Marine Corps because I was an idealist. I wanted to save the world. So if you want to save the world in the 80s or the 90s, you were a Democrat. And then all of a sudden, everything changed. And now, if you want to control and manipulate the world and make the world do what you want, then you're a Democrat. I don't understand that. The Pinochet party. Oh my God, what a horrible human being he was. Would America be a better place with no CIA? Absolutely no question. There is no question that the CIA is an absolute horrible idea. You're talking about bureaucrats who are unelected, who can control and manipulate politicians through fear and blackmail and coercion. Same thing with the FBI. There's nothing in the Constitution that says that we need a federal law enforcement agency. Let the states take care of themselves. We're pretty good at it. And guess what? When one state starts to falter because their policies aren't working, they can look to the states that aren't faltering, that are doing extremely well, and go, wow, what are they doing differently than us? That's how it's supposed to work. Right. Parties are based on emotions. Well, yeah, Harris is definitely has not been elected to anything yet. BRICS scares me. You think it will dissolve the dollar as we know it today? Yeah, absolutely. Not tomorrow, not next year, but over the next 5 to 10 years, it absolutely will hurt the dollar dramatically. Why can't we go back to the Articles of Confederation? Because everybody will think that that's racist and sexist. That's all. Damn, missed my question. All right, throw it out there again. Do you believe the Supreme Court justices should have term limits? No, I really don't. And the reason I don't think that is we know who they are. We know what they think. In this case, I remember when I thought that Trump was really just getting super, super lucky. And he just got to put all these people on the Supreme Court. But now I see how they're fighting against all of these regulations that these three-letter agencies just make up out of whole cloth. They just make up something and say, we're banning this. We're controlling that. You can't do this. You can't do that. And it's like, wait, what gives you the right to do that? FDA or EPA or FTC or Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, the ATF, or Homeland Security. You just make shit up and then it's a law. Only Congress can pass laws. So yeah, I think that the fact that we've got conservative justices on there has actually saved us a tremendous amount. Yes, they are trying to pack the Supreme Court. That's absolutely true. Congress needs to have term limits, no question. So does Senate. The Senate and the Congress should have a 2-term limit, period, just like the presidency. That's it. Go there, do the best you can, come home, go back to farming, go back to manufacturing, whatever it is you do. That's it. These professionals that are supposed to be so good at what they do, they're not. The guy in charge of the ATF can't load a firearm. I saw that. And that's the thing is, how do these bureaucrats get their positions? We don't vote for them. They're just appointed. But by who? Whoever thinks that person will serve them personally the best. No one should have that kind of authority. Yeah, they all seem to become corrupt. There's a couple of examples, but wow, John, they censored your DEI hires. Apparently, you're not allowed to say that at all. What are the odds, right, that they would actually censor something? Absolutely. Yeah. Well, they were born corrupt. That's why they run for office. There's no way. Oh my God. All the crazy shit I did in the Marine Corps and after, it would literally be like me saying, hey, Democrats, can you spend $1 billion to make my life miserable? And by the way, all of my kids, yeah, their lives are open books too. So go ahead and, make them miserable too. Not a chance. Not going to happen. That's why so many people don't want to run. If you've ever made a mistake in your life and you don't have the backing of a big party already, like Kamala Harris, it just came out yesterday. I was watching Candace Owens, and there was an interview on there with a lady who actually knew Beryl White, or Beryl, whatever her name was. And she said, oh, no, she wasn't black. Wait, Kamala's grandmother wasn't black? What was she? Oh, she was Irish. She was white. What? So wait, is that true? Because if that's the case, and Candace Owens went off about this because she is black. And she said, if this woman stole this identity in order to win an election and get black votes, and she's willing to lie about her entire background, even in the books that she wrote, which of course, they show pictures of her standing next to her grandmother, Beryl, and they showed this woman the pictures, and she was like, that's not Beryl. She's an older woman, but she's totally coherent. She was actually very pleasant. She was like, oh, no, that's not Beryl. No. And they showed her another picture of Kamala with this same woman. And she said, no, that's not Beryl. And it's like, well, who is this woman? Because it says in the book that is her grandmother. Hey, look, this is me with my grandma. Now, the fact that her grandma died before she was born, that's a little bit of an inconvenient truth right there. But the fact that when she was 16, 17 years old, she took a picture with a woman who she said was her grandmother, who was already dead for 17 years. What is going on here? Like, who is this? Who put this woman up to this? Who's paying for this woman? Why is she so, like, preordained to become president? How does that happen in this country? You can't do that. That's illegal. You can't just lie all the way and you plagiarize books, you plagiarize articles, and then you say that it was your own idea and you expect us to trust you? We don't know who Kamala is. That's the question. That's what everybody's asking. That's what everyone's asking. Who is Kamala Harris? We don't even know. We have no idea. We don't know her ethnicity. We don't know her background. We know that she's lying about McDonald's. She never worked in a McDonald's. Her parents were very wealthy people. She lived in Canada. She went to a private school. That's all public record. So what is this? Oh, I come from a middle class. Middle class? Really? Because my family was middle class. I didn't get to go to a private school my whole life. I went to the LA Unified School District. Thank God I actually survived it. She is actually worse than Joe, which makes you wonder. It makes you wonder who would want somebody like that so badly that they would actually have a coup d'etat, a bloodless coup, and push the guy out who's actually running and put her in his place. Who would do that? Why would they be so interested in that? Trump and Julian Assange are cousins. Well, yeah, but I mean, Obama and Dick Cheney are eighth cousins too. You ain't got to read that out loud. No, I don't have to. I'm a Trump fan, but it seems like he's sold out past couple weeks to certain groups. I think he's calmed down his rhetoric because he knows that if he just calms down a little bit and lets the heat just kind of come down a few degrees, he gets in the White House. If he keeps screaming at the top of his lungs, then it's going to become even more dangerous for him, if you know what I mean. I would rather have him play the long game and just be very mild-mannered, very happy-go-lucky for the next couple of weeks. Just be cool, talk about how everybody's going to get along, how it's all going to be great. Well, silver's way up today. Silver's up by, what did I say earlier, 4%? Something ridiculous. Oh, shit. I was like, wait, 100%? No. Okay, that's 24 hours. Oh, I'm looking at, okay. I was looking at gold. Yeah, whoa, up 6.7% in one day. The odds are very good. The odds, unfortunately, are very good. I thought Phillips 66 refinery closing in California due to regulations. It doesn't surprise me. They're going to use it as a way to jack your prices up even more. I think he's doing good with Kennedy and Tulsi Gabbard. Yeah, I don't agree with Kennedy on a lot of things, but I trust him. That's what matters to me most now. And Tulsi Gabbard, God, if I married her, I would be the happiest son of a bitch in the world. I mean, you want to talk about one hell of a woman on so many levels. She's beautiful. She surfs. She's funny. She's extremely intelligent. And she's military, which means she's got a backbone of steel. Damn. Like, if I could create the perfect woman, that's just about perfect for me. Yeah, she is an amazing human. Cactus, son of a bitch, Henry, you got me again. Oh, look at that. Fucker. Okay, we're good. Let's see. Get in line, man. I know. I know. Oh, are those $17.99 fake? No, no. As a matter of fact, if you're on here, don't say anything. Don't you don't have to say a word. I'm going to tell you right now that, in my opinion, and you know what the hell do I know? I'm just a numismatist of since 1988. But let me give you a little rundown there, big guy, because I know he's probably on here. So let's see. Okay. Let's go. Let's go, Brendan. Brendan, whatever. Okay. Draped bust dollar. That's what those are. Those are draped bust dollars. You like the Fonz, his jukebox, I know. Hey, they're notifying viewers that I'm live. I like that. Thank you very much, folks. Okay, so this guy who just the other night jumped on here and he said he had two silver dollars from 1799. Now, he did send me pictures of them. They were, a couple of them were a little fuzzy, not too bad. Normally, I look at stuff like that through this. Even these aren't strong enough. These are 3. These are 30. Yeah, can you say wearable birth control? Try and flirt with a girl wearing these. You ain't getting nowhere fast. However, they're 30 power. Woo! Got nice hands. Anyway, I looked at the pictures very closely, and here's what I've determined. They are $17.99. There's nothing strange about them. They're not irregular dates. They're not 8 times 5 stars. They are just straight up $17.99s, which means in the condition that they're in, one of them was in better condition than the other. So one of them was, get Tulsi with that. You never know. She might like nerds. One of them was, in my opinion, about somewhere in the neighborhood of a 30. Okay, on a scale of 1 to 70. 70 is perfect coin. There are very few coins that are not taken from the mint and put in cases that are still 70s. Put one tiny imperfection in it, it's no longer a 70, it's a 69. Anything from 60 to 70 is considered mint state, which means it's never been circulated. It's not a coin that's been in circulation. It might have a couple dings or scratches from being like a Morgan silver dollar. They put those in big burlap bags that had 1,000 coins. Now, they all got scratched up. That doesn't mean they got worn. Wear is a different deal. And of course, silver, the reason they put copper in it, at least 9-10% copper, is because it made it harder. So it made the coin live longer. But $17.99. The first one I would say is about a 30, which would mean that it's worth approximately $4,000. Right? Nice. It could be as high as a 40, which would make it $6,250 for one of them. The other one is a little bit more beat up, so it's probably between $2,500 and $4,000. Do not clean them. Do not rub them. Don't screw around with them at all. If you put silver cleaner on them thinking they'll be shinier, they will be, and they'll be worthless. Because if you clean coins, they're no longer mint state. They're no longer anything. They're literally labeled cleaned. So don't clean them. Restoring a coin is a whole different deal. That means that somebody like me cleaned it. I know, it's stupid, right? Restoring a coin, cleaning a coin, what's the difference? Well, it means that an expert actually did something to the coin that doesn't show. Like, to give you a perfect example, using cyanide on coins can clean a silver coin without leaving any blemishes or marks, or it doesn't lighten the part of the coin that you cleaned, but it does get rid of things like the black tarnish that it would get from sitting next to, say, something that's made of iron. So an ultrasound can work, but you can't clean the coins too much. Does mercury clean coins? I don't know. I know that mercury is something that I used to play with as a kid. It might explain some of the reasons that I'm nuts, but um, you know, uh, I don't know. That's a tough one because mercury is so damn toxic now that it's hard to get, and it's even harder to use without without the feds coming in. Vinegar and baking soda will definitely get your ass kicked by the like PCGS, the grading company. They will definitely see your baking soda, so you have to be very careful about that. Because if you take baking soda and vinegar, the acid will clean the coin, and the baking powder, the baking soda, will actually help remove some of the tarnish. But if you push a little too hard, you will leave rub marks on it. You will be able to see that somebody used it. I know it cleans, but does it ruin it? Yeah, well, that's the problem. As far as mercury, no, because mercury is not going to soak into silver. There's no way. Let's see. Right, the old thermostats, exactly. Mercury plates silver. That doesn't surprise me. Baking soda is the best pre-workout on the planet. I've heard something interesting like that. I think somebody said something about drinking baking soda and vinegar together. What? Yeah, exactly. That's the best. That's the best advice, Sterling. I'm going to go with Sterling on this. Just don't clean them. But whoever you are, the guy out there that has those two 17.99s, congratulations, because that's a good chunk of money. You're looking at damn near $10,000 in two coins right there. And the market is good now. If you give them to your kids, trust me, they'll just go up in value. Now, by the way, just for shits and giggles, if one of those were in mint state condition, like a really clean coin where it looked like it had never been used, yeah, a few scratches and dings and whatnot, but it had never been used, and you had that, and it didn't have to be super shiny, but fairly shiny, but not worn out, it would be worth $350,000 each one of them. Nope, just take a little before you work out. Just take a little baking soda, like just on a spoon. God damn, that sounds terrible. That sounds absolutely horrific. What is it supposed to do? What does baking soda do? I know it neutralizes pH, but how is that going to help you? A teaspoon. Wow. You got to be serious if you're taking a teaspoon of baking soda. Tastes just like salt. Adds oxygen. Okay. You never know. I mean, I've heard that baking soda actually helps women get rid of certain types of cancer as well. Well, okay. I mean, look, there were cures hundreds of years ago that we don't even know about. Melt in water, good for your stomach. A Tide Pod. Yeah, well, that's definitely hard to choke down. What about the missing Plutarian? I don't need any more of that. God. What about the missing liberty? The missing liberty? Are you talking about the gold lib? The one gold lib that's missing? I'm curious. I do like that. Clean teeth is awesome. I would say herbal remedies, okay, diatomaceous earth will help clean out the bad bacteria. I'll bet. Oh, God, diatomaceous earth, that's a bunch of little fossils. That actually kills anything that's an exoskeleton, like a cockroach. They crawl through it, and those little teeny bits of skeleton actually literally cut them to pieces. Get sort of heartburn like that. What about the guy who said the missing liberty? Kind of curious. Yeah, you put diatomaceous earth around places where you don't want scorpions, and It'll definitely clean up your scorpion problem. Yeah, too scared to take the diatomaceous. I mean, oh God, it literally, you can see it actually kills anything that crawls through it. So I'm not sure if I'd want to eat it. I mean, I've heard of like that, bentonite clay. Hey, shit, bears eat clay before they hibernate. And that way they can form a plug of what. And then they just poop it out after they wake up in the springtime. That's actually true. That's weird, but true. Uh-oh. Am I getting kicked off, or am I just having to verify that I'm still alive? Nope, just having to verify that I'm still alive. Okay, good. Boom. Okay, unable to verify. Please try again. Okay, I did that perfectly. What's going on? Okay, and got it. There, I'm back on. Okay. I thought they were going to kick me off for a second. Pine cones and berries. Well, I've eaten pine nuts and berries many times. It's actually damn good for you. Berries are, like, especially blackberries and blueberries. Man, a few blueberries, so full of antioxidants. Yes, I am. I am alive. Let's see. You can take diatomaceous earth as long as it's food grade. Food grade? I didn't even know there was such a thing. I mean, hell, you put that in your pool filter. Earthling Jake, you got censored. Congratulations. I'm going to start congratulating people when they get censored. He said something really rude, crude, and obnoxious. You know what it was? That's the bear plug. I'm just kidding. I don't think that's rude, crude, or obnoxious. I can't imagine why they censored him. AI, you're a strange one. But who are we to argue with the artificial intelligence? All that's probably why you didn't know what I said to you. Yeah, sometimes I miss those because they're not highlighted. Diatomaceous earth is good for bed. Oh, well, I can imagine. Anything that crawls through it gets cut to pieces. Literally, those little skeletons are like little razor blades. That's why I'm wondering why you would actually want to swallow that shit. Like, it just seems like it would just cut you up. But maybe not. I don't know. We humans can eat all kinds of crazy shit. Uh-oh, somebody else got. Look at that. People take dye for parasites. Yeah, that got censored. You're probably asking yourself, why the hell would they censor that? Who knows? I used to have to coat the potato plants with it. That's really smart. That makes sense. Okay. No doctor advice. Yeah, I don't give much advice. And I clearly don't gamble. The only thing I've ever gambled on was birth control, and I have 5 children now. I'm lagging way behind Elon, but I'll catch him. I'll catch that son of a bitch. He's only got 12. He's got he's ahead by 7 points, but we're only it's about halftime right now. The immigrants, some jobs they don't speak English. Huh. Eat prunes. Eat bran. That's an easy one. Eat bran. Entertainment purposes only. Yeah, I guess. Chris got that. Yep. I feel like I'm good for at least 7 more kids. But then again, Elon's younger than I am, so this is going to be a fight. I mean, this will be it's going to go right down to the 2-minute warning. I'm pretty sure. I would retire. Yeah, but I keep making every kid I make is just so awesome. They're so awesome looking, and they're cool, and they're funny little fuckers, and they run around and laugh and giggle, and they make you feel young. And they also run your ass off. I'm on the all banana diet. Good luck with that. Holy shit. I'm 2 years older than you. Okay, well then it's halftime or almost halftime. All with the same man. Yours And Elon's with the same lady. What, you calling me a whore? No, not all of them, but I had 2 with 1 girl. Yeah, I kind of sound like a whore now. Thanks, appreciate that. But thanks for chiming in. Damn it. No, it's a buddy of mine said, "You had 5 kids with 5 different women." I was like, "No, what do you think I'm a whore? 4 different women." And he was like, "Oh, okay, well that's cool." I mean, I someday I'll meet the right gal and I'll settle down and we'll get really serious about having kids. What are you doing, buddy? Donnie, they censored you for saying that. Don't you call people buddy on here. That's a sexist term. That means that you, fuck, I don't know what it means, but apparently AI doesn't like it. So stop. a little bit, Teresa. Hope you're proud of yourself. Do I like dome homes? Only if they're covered with dirt. Seriously, that's something I want to do. I want to actually have an underground house. And I don't mean like, deep in the side of a mountain kind of, thing, but I would like to have about, I don't know, 2 feet of earth over the top of my house so that it's, climate controlled all the time. Radiation doesn't get through it. I mean, just little shit like that. It just seems like common sense. What should I call you then? That's a good question. Oh, wait, an update on what? Update on my podcast. Yes, I now have all of the funding I need for my podcast, which is awesome. So I'm good. Or cave. I would love to, if I could find a cave that I didn't think was going to collapse in an earthquake or something. I'd love to convert a cave into a home. I've seen a couple that were just really cool looking. Let's see. I had 12 kids with 1 woman, still married to her since 1980. Carlos. Well, of course, Carlos Montoya. I'm telling you, man, this is why I love Mexicans. He's been married to the same woman now since 1980. He's got 12 kids. He probably worked his balls off at some job, came home every night, probably played with his kids on Saturdays, taught them soccer and all this shit. I mean, this is just the way these people are. How can we not love them? I say, fuck it. Let's just get rid of the border completely. We'll just quadruple the one on the south end to make sure nobody else sneaks into Mexico. And then we'll just be like the United States of, well, we'll come up with a name that isn't offensive. Oh, no, we won't. America Vespucci didn't even fucking discover the United States, and we named our country after him, America. That's stupid. Columbus didn't discover shit. The Vikings were over here 1,000 years ago, and they have proof of it all over Newfoundland, the newfound land, by the Vikings. So why don't we call it Hergensplugerford? That's what we should call it. We should name it after IKEA. Go in there and just pick out one of their fucking pieces of furniture and go, the Heg Flurben. That's what we're going to, United States of Flurben. That would be more accurate. Remember the Alamo. I wasn't actually there. I don't remember it. But I understand it was a real ass kicking, unfortunately for us. So you don't believe in national sovereignty? Of course I do. I totally do. I'm saying that Mexico should be part of our country. Like, let's make it one big country. That's all. Yeah, I love national sovereignty. I just think that when you look at what most Mexicans in Mexico want, they're Christian. They want big families. They want to work hard. They want to play hard. They want a home. They want they want a decent car. They want kids. They want all the same things that we want. They want the American dream. And they're North American, just like that other place north of here, the Trudeau land. It used to be a country, but I don't know what it is now. Have you ever been to Juarez? Yes, I have. Do you want that when you are driving to school? Ooh, boy, that's some racist shit right there, Donnie, because Juarez is not Mexico. Juarez is Juarez. And that is, they call it the beast for a reason. We are, and by the way, I think that Canada, fuck, that's right. I knew there was a country up there. Normally, I just call it the hat. It's like the US's hat. It keeps us warm in the wintertime. Um, we could all wear those cool Viking helmets. I like it. That's a great way of doing it right there. But yeah, Juarez is, in my opinion, my humble opinion, a product of the United States' insatiable appetite for all kinds of illicit drugs, and they have to get here somewhere. And so we've turned the border into a complete and total hellhole. But if you go 500 miles south into real Mexico and you sit down with real Mexicans that aren't living in a hellhole like that, they're the coolest people in the world. They'll give you the shirt off their back. They're not rich and they don't care. They just want to be happy. They want to have families. They want to live their lives. That is the American dream. We didn't used to all want to be like P. Diddy, rich and powerful. And very few people were willing to do what he did to get to where he was. Senile. That's a very odd thing for you to say, considering who the president of the United States is. That's true senility. We are not Mexico. No, we're definitely not Mexico, but we have a huge Hispanic population in this country. And I would say that the vast majority of them, like 40% of the United States Marine Corps, is Hispanic. That's a big chunk. And a lot of them are from Texas. And if you've ever been to Texas and met the Tejano culture, they're very proud to be U.S. citizens. They're also very proud of their Mexican heritage. And it's an amazing culture. I remember the Mexican-American War. Huh. I wasn't there for that, but we've gone to war with everybody, dude. We've literally been at war for the entirety of our country's existence, with the exception of 7 years. We have not been at war for 7 entire years. What did he do to get to where he is? Really? Come on, Teresa. You've been living under a rock. You know exactly what he did. And it has to do with audio, video, and baby oil. And some really, really not cool practices. I don't have anything against Mexicans. I just want my own country. No, absolutely not. No, that's cool. That's why people can disagree. That's cool. That's the cool thing about it. Let's see. Serious question time. Thoughts on gold beyond 2,700? Time to sell or hold? Oh my God, no question to hold. Here's what you have to ask yourself. Every time you get ready to sell it, say to yourself, do I think that the dollar will be stabilized at this point? Do I think that we're on the path to fiscal responsibility as a country? Do I think that we're going to stop printing dollars just erroneously for the fuck of it and throwing them at technologies that don't work based on a completely false narrative? No, not today. And then hold your gold. That's it. And that's the cool thing. 330 something million Americans, and we should all have different opinions, at least slightly different. And then, you know what? Let's just fucking debate it to death. But debate it in a way that is civil, you know? I mean, we can all disagree on a lot of stuff, but let's disagree because we're trying to get to the best possible answer. There are a lot of different, when it comes to something like that, there can be a lot of things that are true, but they don't fit what you want. And so what you have to do in a situation like that is you have to find the part of, because it's all compromise, all of it, everything's compromise. If everybody walks away happy, somebody's fucked up or somebody's lying. Something's not going on here. Because when everybody is willing to compromise a little bit to get to whatever the goal is, then nobody's exactly happy. They're like, it was pretty good. Was it perfect? No, I didn't get this. I didn't get that. And the other guy goes, yeah, me neither. It's like, yeah, all right. Well, we're both fairly happy. And we can do that. That's easy. I'm stockpiling coffee. You bet your ass. You better be, Moon Monster. That is a good thing to stockpile. Palatable compromises. Well said. Very well said. Wait, I missed one. Let's see. Good to disagree. That's right. But agree to. And, you know, we can always work on it. Just tons of time to work on it. Let's see. Sell your gold and silver the same year as Congress passes a budget with a surplus. That's actually extremely good advice. 1,000 pounds of coffee trade for silver. See, that's the problem. That is the problem, Moon Monster. That would be a fantastic trade. Except, how the hell do I store 1,000 pounds of coffee? Where do I store it? See, that's the problem. That's why when it comes to commodities, something that is as valuable as coffee, but infinitely more storable than coffee, is perfect. That's why gold became the standard for what we call money today, because it's a commodity that doesn't rust, it doesn't tarnish, and it's malleable. You can make it into whatever you want: a bar, a coin, a golden statue. Make it into a golden bull, but then somebody's going to come along and destroy it. So be careful about that. We could separate the country and live on either side. Yeah, that never works, because then we'll end up going to war with each other over something stupid. How do I sell 100-ounce silver bar? Oh, in Canada. You've got to have silver and gold exchanges. There got to be silver and gold exchanges in Canada. If they've already outlawed those, you guys are screwed. Like, I don't even know what to say at that point. That's just not pretty. So hopefully, you've got gold exchanges. By the way, call your bank. A lot of banks buy gold and silver. Does it seem like it's working now? Not this week. Yeah, coin shops obviously too. And don't let them give you some bullshit about, oh, well, we can only give you a 90% spot. Fuck that. There are people out there who will give you spot price. The old story called the Tinder box. Well, now, Teresa, you got censored for saying that. I think maybe the AI thought you were suggesting I go on Tinder. No, I'm not going on Tinder. What's happening, Jim? Not many coin shops anymore. That's because the federal government in this country was adamant about putting them out of business. They don't want you to have gold and silver. You understand that, right? Once they go to a CBDC, it will be virtually impossible to get gold and silver. Now, that will make the price go astronomically high, but it will also make it so that the common person can never touch it again, which is exactly what they want. Absolutely, man. That's the way it's supposed to be. Can't control them, kind of. Yeah, I mean, that's the problem, is that at this point in the game, they have so much more power than they should, that they've taken for granted that they can just do whatever. They can confiscate our silver again. No, they won't confiscate it. They'll simply make it impossible to buy more. So if you have it, great. They might do something clever like say, well, we're going to crack down on foreign currency in the United States, because foreign currency means that you can do things behind the government's back that could be illegal, like child trafficking and drugs. So we're gonna ban the use of and ownership of foreign currency unless you are leaving the country with it. Well, that makes a lot of silver and gold coins illegal automatically. Yeah, they never used to ask for identification at the bank either. Didn't they confiscate it before? Yes, they have confiscated gold twice in the past. Now, the reason that they confiscated gold was because that was the best commodity to confiscate in order to help the country at the time. So, for instance, the gold confiscation in 1933 was basic. It was based on the fact that we created the Federal Reserve System and the Federal Reserve banks, and they had a very strict edict that they couldn't make more dollars than they had gold to back it at a certain ratio. Well, by 1929, 1930, they'd already printed up all the money they could. That was it. They'd maxed it out. And they were like, we can't print any more money. And they convinced the president that, look, if we can't print money, we can't grow our way out of this depression, because this isn't a hyperinflationary depression like the Weimar was. The Weimar Republic was a hyperinflationary depression where the Deutschmark just lost its value. Here, it was a deflationary depression, which is worse. Yeah, eggs would go to 15 cents a dozen, but you wouldn't have enough money to buy that 15-cent dozen. There's just no money. That is the problem. When you have a crooked central bank like that, and they promise to be honest, they can't. It's either crooked or it's honest. It's one or the other, but you can't have both. So they said to the president, FDR, they said, look, we need more gold. If we don't get more gold, we can't print more money. If we can't print more money, we can't get out of this deflationary cycle. And we're all doomed. And they scared the shit out of him. Well, he's not an economist, so he said, okay, then what do we need to do? And they said, well, we should confiscate gold from the public. And that'll give us enough gold reserves to continue to print money. So he said, okay, great, let's do it. So they gave everybody $20 per ounce for their gold and said you had to turn it in. Otherwise, you got 10 years in prison and a $100,000 fine, which is about the same as $5 million today. So most people didn't turn it in. The estimates are anywhere from, and they vary because people didn't talk about it, but between 30 and 70% of the country said, screw you, I'm not turning in my gold. Fuck that. So they didn't turn it in, but a lot of people did. And you were allowed to have, I believe, 2 ounces. You were allowed to keep 2 ounces. So everything over and above that, you had to turn in. And if you didn't, you went to prison. So they got all of their extra gold and they started printing money again, just like they always did. Now, the reason that they had to confiscate the gold was to print more money. We don't have to worry about that now. The Federal Reserve doesn't have any basis in reality for printing money. They just fucking print money whenever they want. Like literally, they just can print money whenever they turn the switch. Flip the switch, money fucking flows out of the machines. Done. Okay, but how do they determine whether or not that's a good idea? They don't. They don't determine it. The federal government does. The federal government says we need more money. And the Federal Reserve might say something like, well, we've printed a tremendous amount of money. This may not be the most the most prudent way forward. And the federal government says, yeah, well, screw you, print more money. Here are the bonds. And they actually have a bond auction, and the banks actually go and they buy the bonds, and then they turn around and sell them to the Federal Reserve for a profit. Yeah. They buy the bonds from the government and turn around and sell them to the Federal Reserve for a profit. Wait, how does that work? Why would you do that? Well, that way the banks get to make billions of dollars. Every time there's a bond auction, they make billions of dollars. But billions of dollars, who's paying those billions of dollars? Oh, you are. It's your tax money. And these banks get to buy a bond, turn around moments later and sell it to the Federal Reserve at a profit. And you pay that profit every time. Could you make it so that the banks had to buy it and sell it at the exact same price? Oh, of course, they could make legislation like that fast. Will they? Really? You think? In 2020, when the equity market collapsed, do you know where the executive vice chairman of the Treasury went? That's Janet Yellen's right-hand man. He literally went straight to J.P. Morgan and met with Jamie Dimon. Yeah, that's what happened. Because Janet Yellen came out and said, look, we're not getting involved in this. We are not getting involved. This is a free market. This is the way that's supposed to work. And if this is what's going to happen, this is what's going to happen. Then her right-hand man went over and met with J.P. Morgan. And 2 hours later, she came out of a conference and said, you know what? We've changed our minds. We're going to intervene. And they printed trillions of dollars to dump into the market. Because over 5 weeks, the entire stock market lost 40% of its value. That's almost overnight. And how did it rebound so fast? Because the Federal Reserve was forced, the Treasury forced them to print money so that they could buy back equities. The government was buying Wait, the government was buying these equities and propping up the market artificially? You bet your ass they were. That's the only reason the market bounced back. So when I tell people, look, S&P 500 is up for the last 5 years by 85%, and silver is up by 88%. So take your pick. Which one do you want? And they say, well, I'd rather be in the S&P 500. That's as ignorant and foolish an answer as I could possibly give anyone ever. But again, it's a free country. And if you want to gamble with something that is that utterly rigged, go for it. But I guarantee you, the next time we have a failure like that, nobody's stepping in, especially if it's the banks, because the banks are really, really up shit creek and nobody knows it. They have about $685 billion in losses that they don't have to report yet. Why don't they have to report it? Well, because they're borrowing money from the Federal Reserve. And how are they borrowing that money? Well, they're borrowing the money against the assets, but the assets are down by $685 billion. Yeah, but see, that's the thing, is the Federal Reserve is loaning the money based on what the assets could be worth, not what they're actually worth. I couldn't even make this up if I was trying to come up with a novel on how the Three Stooges would run monetary policy. It wouldn't be this stupid. But that's how it is. They're literally giving them face value on assets that are worth, in some cases, half of what they were worth. But they're still getting 100% loans on them. That's kind of like, wait, when was that? I think it was, cast our mind back, 2006, 2007, when somebody could go get a home loan for 125 LTV, which is loan to value. So I want to buy a $100,000 house, and the bank says, sure, you're approved for 125 grand. And I say, well, it's a brand new house. I don't really need 125 grand. And they say, okay, well, if you want it, you can have it. And I go, wait a minute. If I got 125 grand, that allows me to buy a house for 100,000. That allows me to make payments on it for 2 years with the loan itself and just keep using that money. And then when I start to run low on money, because the real estate market always, always goes up, oh my God, I can sell it for 250,000. So I borrowed 125, but then I actually made 125 free and clear. In 2 years, I doubled my money. Oh my God, how could this possibly go wrong? Well, ask 10 million people that lost their homes in 2009, 10, 11, and 12. Some estimates put it as high as 40 million people. Yeah, immigration is extremely good for the country as long as it's us cherry picking the people that we want. See, that's the funny part. Immigration is actually excellent for the United States if we choose who immigrates. I don't know if we use 20%. It's possible. It's completely possible, because the reality is this. 118 million of the 792 million go straight to India. That's not even industry. That's just straight to Indians who want to own silver. That's a lot. So they're letting everyone in. That is the problem, is we don't even know who they're letting in. But yeah, when you have scientists, when you have physicists, and you have engineers, and you have doctors that come here and they study and then they stay for the rest of their lives because they love the country, that's fantastic. They are literally keeping us ahead of all of the competition. Yeah, we'll take a few smart Europeans. Hell yeah, we'll cherry pick from everybody, man. We don't give a shit what color you can be. Orange. Doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter what your religion is. If you're the best and the brightest and you want to come here and you want to help the United States kick everybody's ass technologically, come on over. We'd love to have you. Now, if it's because President Maduro who was almost overthrown by the United States of America, but not quite, decides that he wants to take retribution on the United States and empties out all of his prisons and mental institutions and tells the people, go to the United States and you're free, or come back and spend the rest of your life in a concrete box. What would you like to do? And they go, we're free. Well, you're free to go to the United States, but you can't stay here. That's why the crime rate in Venezuela, in spite of all of the hardship that they're facing, has dropped by 80% in the last year. Where do you think those people went? I remember when Trump made his first statement years ago about, well, they're not sending their best and their brightest. They're sending, drug dealers and murderers and this and that. And I was like, ooh, God, that makes him sound like a racist bastard. Like, are you saying that like all Mexicans are bad people? I have a hard time with that. No, that's not what he was saying at all. What he was saying is, look, illegal immigrants are flooding in from different countries, and we've got to be careful who they are. And as it turns out, he was right. Oh, you don't have to go along with the narrative. It's true. It's absolutely true. I mean, that's a fact. Look it up. Look, the crime rate in a lot of these countries is dropping precipitously. Why are their crime rates going down? Because they're deporting everybody. What does that mean, deporting? If you were born in Venezuela, how do you get deported? Well, at the end of a gun. You get deported at the end of a barrel. That's how you get deported. And the reality is, if I told you, look, you committed X amount of crimes, capital murder, etc., and you're going to be in the prison for the rest of your life, or you can go to the United States. What did I just do? Because I didn't just solve one problem. I simultaneously solved two problems. That's one human being I don't have to spend $35,000 a year on for the rest of his life. God forbid he's 20. That means that for the next 40 years, I'm going to spend $35,000 or more as time goes on to keep this guy alive and feed him and give him medical care. Or I can tell him, get the fuck out of my country. You've lived all over the world. Have you lived in Venezuela? I'm talking about something very specific. I don't think that the French are sending us their felons. I don't think that Germany, they're sending us people that are bad. I'm using a very specific narrative here, which is Venezuela. We tried to overthrow Maduro. And guess what? Just like in Cuba, he's laughing his ass off. The die was already cast. Look, the Cubans back in the 70s, when Carter said, look, I'll let anybody come into the country. This is a humanitarian issue. And Castro said, really? All right. No, why would I live in Africa? No, by the way, Venezuela is not in Africa. Okay, so is Venezuela in Africa? Pretty sure it's not. As a matter of fact, I know a lot of people don't know where Venezuela is, but it's just right across the Caribbean. How come North Korea has no border problem? Because they're like we're going to be 10 years from now. Where people are like, what? No, shit, no, I don't want to live there. Get me out. Don't get me in. And by the way, they don't have a border problem now because they just blew up all their roads. No border, no problem. What they have is they have a line of spent explosives and a huge fucking ditch all the way across their border. Oh, I didn't see your response. What's your response? Did I say it was? No. So what's your point? I'm talking about Venezuela, and you're saying I lived in Africa. Well, guess what? Oranges are not bananas either, but they don't have anything to do with this conversation. Jesus Christ. Donnie, really? What's my point? I think I made my point twice. Would you like me to make it a third time? Or hold on. I'm going to get crayons and a piece of paper for you. Shit, I'm out of crayons. I ate them all. Never mind. Look. There are countries, specifically Venezuela, that are sending all of their criminals here because we have fucked them over and they're mad at the United States, as they should be. That's it. Check that out. Let's see. You were getting smart people tonight. Let's see. Yeah, but that's the thing. Just disagreeing doesn't mean you got to leave. Just means pay attention when I do answer. I don't know what Venezuela had to do with that. Nothing. I wasn't talking about Africa. Jesus Christ. I never said a word about Africa. You did. So have fun with Africa. And by the way, Africans from Africa are some of the nicest people I've ever met and some of the hardest working. As a matter of fact, my son's psychologist is from Africa, and the dude is fucking awesome. Let's see. You were a Marine. Do you have crayons? Of course I don't have crayons. I eat them. I mean, I do have sometimes, but like sometimes I'll have red ones laying around. Don't like the red ones as much. Blue is my favorite flavor. Let's see. Agreed about Africans. Yeah, it's funny. You can always tell when somebody calls you sir and mister and they're very formal. It's like, you're from Kenya or something, aren't you? Let's see. You seriously need to block? No, the only people I block are the ones who come on here and they go, Kamala Harris is an angel. Kamala Harris is an angel. And they just keep doing it over and over. Vote for Kamala Harris. She's an angel. She's going to save the world from the darkness of all of you rednecks. By the way, I think I'm going to write a book. I think I'm finally there. Now, of course, I'm going to have help, a ghostwriter, which means I'm not really going to write a book. But I'm telling you I'm going to write a book because it'll come out of my gourd into their hand. It's kind of like writing a book, except it won't have all the grammatical insanity that it would have if I wrote it. And that is the Redneck Roadmap to Success. No, you're right. Mark, like it. I like that point. Let's see. Yeah, I saw some of it. I saw probably, I'm going to say half. There were points where I just had to shut it off and go watch, a video about, Shelby Cobras or something that made me not want to puke all over myself. Redneck bass is duct tape in a bear. I'm not sure what that means. Can help you write your book. Yeah, but then, Google's going to want part of the money. And no, I'm just kidding. I know. Love your response. By the way, thank you, John. By the way, I am working on a couple of interviews. Donnie, baby, they censored you. This was not me. Look, under the haha comment, it says, you obviously are a world traveler, so I'm not stupid either. Why'd they censor that? Oh, did you use the S word? I say it all the time. I just go to Big and Corn-Fed YouTube channel every time Martin gets the boot. Good point. That is a great point. Oh, yeah, I should mention that. It's supposed to be in marketing. I have 2 people. Look at that. I got 2 people on my live stream on YouTube. Yeah, I am killing it tonight. The reason I joke about that, because, obviously 2 people, there's like 45 billion people signed up for YouTube. I know there aren't that many people in the world. I have 2 YouTube channels, one that I can't remember the password to, and then the one I always use. But my point is that you'd think I'd be a little pissed that, like, hey, I'm not getting a lot of subscribers. But then you add this word, yet. I'm not a billionaire yet, but here, I don't want to be a billionaire. And I say that honestly. I do not give a shit about being a billionaire. If I had $100 million, I'm certain I could make it last for the next, let's see, I'm 59, so 60 years. I could make it last for the next 60 years, no question. I don't think you are either. But I think that they censored you because you used a naughty word. You used a stupid word. Problems with too much money. There are. They've actually done study after study after study. What did you just say to me, Robert? What? Wait, I can't even check. I can't check to see how many subscribers I've got. Did I break 200? I broke 200 subscribers. Yeehaw. The name of my YouTube channel, it's on my homepage here. It's Big and Corn-Fed. I figured I'd keep it simple. Being famous does have its perks. Volcano living cheap. I'm not sure what that means, but okay. Bought silver and you're happy. Mark. Trying to think of like which Mark you are, because I got a couple Marks. I got a couple clients. And Mark, by the way, is a very popular name. Anything that starts with M-A-R, like Martin, my name, is Roman initially, originally, and it's after the god of war, Mars. My father, who was a complete fucking lunatic Navy SEAL, actually named me after the god of war on purpose. He figured my mom was almost 6 feet tall. He was 6'4". I was going to be probably humongous, and he wanted me to be a warrior. That's funny, Mark with a C. They censor cuss words? Fuck no. They might. If you write a cuss word down, does anybody want to write a cuss word? Do you want to take a chance of getting kicked off of TikTok? Go for it. Donnie, they're already mad at you. Why don't you do it? No, yeah. See, nobody can cuss. There you go. That's funny. Nice suburban city boy cuss word. Freaking mad. I'm farting so mad. Curse word. Oh, you people are hilarious. Nobody wants to do what I do and get kicked off of here. I bought silver and I'm happy. Oh, Larry, how are you, buddy? Yeah, you'll get the last couple ounces on Monday. Yeah, I have no idea how I did this. I always, I'm not stupid most of the time, and I count the silver over and over and over, and I have somebody else count it too, just in case I'm having a brain fart or something somehow. And I'm not exactly sure how I did this, but and it was a decent size order. It wasn't just for those of you who are like, oh, I'm going to go break into his house. It wasn't like 1 million ounces or anything, but it was, it was a good amount. Are you ready? Are you really more worried about getting kicked off or telling the truth? See, look at that. That got censored. Donnie, that got censored. I can't believe that got censored. See, nobody can see that. Rather bright because I watched you before. Well, here's what happened. I sent him a silver, and it was an ounce short. I was like, "Are you sure?" And he actually showed me the stacks, and there was one stack that was just one short. And I was like, so that means that somewhere in my office, there's an ounce of silver lurking. And I'm going to find it. Absolutely, John. I will give you the best deal. No, I didn't see it scroll by. Oh, I'm going back. I'm going back, user. Oh my God. I see Afer. That's not it. Wow, look at that. It just didn't even show up. Like it didn't show up as censored. It just didn't show up. Wow, that is crazy. They just got rid of your whole nasty little word. That's funny. You're still here, but I didn't see the cuss word. I didn't. They just won't let you say that kind of nasty stuff. I said, yeah, see, that didn't show up either. Wow, that's funny. See, Andy can get kicked off of here, and I'll still see him probably tomorrow night if there's a UFC event. I'll head over to the road. Oh no, I'm not going to the Roadhouse. Are you kidding me? The Roadhouse is going to be insane. I live in Cave Creek, and it's Biketober month, which means there are going to be a lot of very drunk people. Amanda, you got censored. How dare you say something like interesting with this emoji? Yeah, they censored that. They will let me. Will they let me man 50? I can't say the other part. Otherwise, I'll probably get. Yep. It's Biketober Fest. Okay, I got you. Oh my God, Martin Grant liked my live stream. I accidentally hit the wrong button and I liked myself. Look, if you can't love yourself, nobody else can love you either. That's what they say, right? Well, I just liked myself. You can see it on your screen, though. Wow. That's crazy. See, I see amen. I can see these, except when you guys use those naughty words, the AI is like, I'm not even going to show Big and Corn Fed that because we know that fucker will say it out loud. Yes, I will. Okay, did it 3 times. No, yeah, learning curve. Wow. So you're not ignoring me. I might be ignoring you, Amanda, but right now I'm not. Maybe I was. We'll never know, will we? Nobody loves me more than I love me. Oh, dude, I say that to myself all the time. And the thing is, I used to be a little weird about how weird I was, and then one day, I swear to God, I was looking in the mirror at myself, and I thought, yeah, I'm different. I'm crazy, but yeah, I kind of like me. I like me a lot. Hell, I might even love me. And I just started laughing. Wait a minute. Beignets. Oh, Mark Harris is trying to get me to go to New Orleans. That's why he put beignets there. Yeah, I know. You're thinking, wait, why the fuck do the French not pronounce their T's? Because they're too good for T's. So it's beignet. And by the way, beignet is the greatest thing ever. Like if you caught an angel and bit into it, it tastes like a beignet. I think the algorithm is damn. Yeah, well, that's probably true. What's some good news sites for the truth? Well, I definitely like Zero Hedge. ZeroHedge.com. It's not necessarily conservative. They just hate everybody. And they dig right straight through to the truth and they kick crap out of Republicans and Democrats. Right now, it's just a lot easier to kick Democrats because they're just screwing up so bad. I mean, this is like the worst they've ever screwed up. I left the party 4 or 5 years ago. I was just like, I can't do this anymore. Like, none of this shit's adding up. And then the things that I'm seeing Trump do aren't what they're saying he's doing, but I'm watching them. And of course, I look at the numbers behind the numbers. So you can't really lie to me for long. You can lie to me a little bit, but then eventually the numbers aren't going to add up. And I'm going to go, why do they keep saying this, but the actuality is this? Like, what's going on here? And then you start putting 2 and 2 together and you're like, oh, okay. This guy just doesn't fit in. He's not one of the cool kids. He's not one of the in crowd. Now, it's easy to say that he's not one of the in crowd because he's a boorish asshole. Okay, yeah. True enough. But I've known assholes that I could trust with my life. And they've been friends of mine, lifelong friends, because I could trust them. And that, to me, the window dressing of being cool and coy and fun and neato, none of that shit matters. To me, as a man, what I need to know is I need to know that I trust you. And even if I don't like you, if I trust you, I'll be there for you. It's quid pro quo. If I can trust you when I need you the most, then you can trust me when you need me the most. It's just an unwritten rule among, especially Marines. Like we just, and being an asshole, well, that kind of comes with the territory a lot of times. I know a lot of guys that are the most arrogant sons of bitches you've ever met. They're just so arrogant. But it's okay. Yeah, exactly. When the chips are really down, man. If this is the guy that you call at 3 a.m. and you go, brother, I'm fucked. I'm out in the middle of nowhere and my spare is flat. Got his flat tire and my spare's flat too. And he goes, oh, you son of a bitch. All right, where you at? He gets out of bed and he comes and he helps you. Now, that's a man's man. A lady's man might be very charming and erudite, but you call him at 3 o'clock in the morning and he's like, oh, sorry, man. I I got this thing tomorrow and I'd love to help you, but I can't. Yeah. Okay, great. You're all flash and no substance. That's why you're a ladies' man, not a man's man. A man's man may not be good looking or glamorous. He may not clean his nails properly, but you know what? That's a guy that you can literally trust with your life or the lives of your kids and your wife. Yeah, that's the guy. That's the guy you want. So, do I trust Donald Trump that he is going to do the best he can for the United States? Yeah. Is he a liar? Have you ever met a politician that didn't lie? Ever? Ever? Now the question is, what are the lies about? Are they lies because they're trying to manipulate you into doing something that is bad for you? Or are they lying because their ego is sensitive? Because I can tell you this, a lot of men out there have some real sensitive egos. You know, it's the guy who's looked death in the face, sometimes more than once, who realizes he may not be the toughest son of a bitch in the world, but he's tough enough. He may not be the smartest son of a bitch in the world, but he knows what he knows. And that's a guy that you don't have to worry about his ego fucking something up. Donald Trump's not that guy. His ego is huge. His ego is enormous. Why is that? He's the son of a rich man. His father built everything, and he's maintaining it. And that comes along with a cost. I have known rich kids my whole life. They always stand in the shadow of their mother or their father, whoever it is that has the money. If you're the daughter of a famous actress, it's just as bad because you'll never do what she did. And every once in a while, something happens and, you get a Jane Fonda who becomes famous. Is she as famous as her dad? Hell, who knows? She's different generation. But the point is, she wasn't in her dad's shadow, so that's cool. But there are people like that who they're not in the shadow of their father. Donald Trump, yeah, of course he was. His dad made hundreds of millions of dollars. Well, he did confront a lot of people, and that's, again, part of his ego. See, that's where the ego works for the United States. Where the opinion of the Navy's doomsday map, I was not aware that the United States Navy had a doomsday map. But if it has a doomsday map, it must have something to do with pissing me off. And they haven't pissed me off, so they're safe. They're fine. Trump's dad gave Trump $1 million at 8 years old. No, actually, that's not true at all. That's provably false. His father gave him $300 million when he died. That's true. Considering where he started and what he developed into, and going back, and this is key, going back and looking at his older comments about the United States or about racism or about immigration, you see that all the way back when when he was Oprah's darling, he still had this very moderate stance about, well, these are things that, I'm not happy with and I would like to see fixed. Okay, well, that sounds pretty reasonable. Okay. Honestly, what you're saying, yeah, and more fake news. I'm not sure which fake news. 34 charges, and liberals are quite. 34 charges, okay, and liberals are quite happy with that. Quite smug. Yes, they are. No, they are quite smug about it, though, aren't they? There's nothing fake about Martin Grant, except this leg. I'm just kidding. That's my real leg. Oh, quiet. I don't think the liberals have been quiet. Oh my God, they've been going fucking bananas. Oh my God, this is so great. We're finally going to put this dictator who's going to kill all the women and children in the country. We're going to put him in prison for the rest of his life. And it's like, okay, but pardon the pun, but those are some really trumped up charges. They always try to be better. just like all of us. Yeah, well, I mean, it seems like when you look at what he actually did, because here's the thing: when you compare Kamala Harris to Donald Trump, what did Kamala Harris do? Well, just look at what she did, because that's a great indicator. What you did is probably what you'll do. And she voted for some of the most radically liberal things that we've ever seen. We see that. Go back and look at her record. She's insanely liberal. Like, Democrats said that she was the most liberal, most radically leftist person in Senate. That's what the Democrats said about her. And now I'm supposed to believe that she's not? Okay. So what's her background? Well, she's a prosecutor. Okay, well, prosecutors for the most part are just turds. They just gamble. That's all they do. They don't really do anything. They throw charges against a wall to see what sticks. They have an unlimited amount of money because they work for the government, and they basically look and see who's rich and who's not. So prosecutors are basically the worst human beings in the world because they convict lots of people who aren't even guilty, but they don't have the money or the representation to protect themselves. So they just plead guilty to something that they didn't even do just to get the fuck out of jail. So prosecutors are horrible humans. I've known some of them, and I quit being friends with them because they were so smug about all these plebes, these peasants, these commoners. And they're some of the most racist people I've ever met too. So no, being a prosecutor means nothing to me. That doesn't help her case. So what else do I know about her? Well, how would she be as president? I don't know. She's been vice president for 3.5 years, but vice president, we all agreed and laughed up until Dick Cheney that vice president was the most useless post in government. You don't do anything. Literally, you do nothing. So she got put in charge of the border. That was horrible. But what would she do as president? Okay, we don't know. Set that aside. Donald Trump was president before. Did he lock up all the liberals? Did he go after Rachel Maddow and put her in prison? Did he do all of these things that they're worried about him doing? No. My cousin was vice president. Well, that's cool. Which vice president? The power grid. He did sign a bill, by the way. Trump did sign a bill to make the grid stronger. I'm not joking. He actually did do that. And he created the Space Force. For those of you who think that that was funny or stupid or whatever, the United States Space Force is the future of defense. There's no question in my mind about that. You've got to remember that when I'm not talking about economics, I'm studying all the time. And what do I study? Solar science, cosmology, astronomy. This is what I do with all of my spare time. So what do I know? I know that the Space Force is something that in the next 20 to 30 years will become the most important of all. And the reason I say that is because if you look at what's going on in between Russia and Ukraine, what are the most lethal weapons? What are the most lethal weapons they have? Oh, my pleasure, man. What's the most lethal weapons that are being used in Israel right now against Israel and against the Iron Dome? Drones. Not guys with guns anymore. The infantryman on the ground is screwed. Drones, exactly. Mel Gibson. That is awesome. That was a great one. Rockets, misses. The ones we gave them, yeah. Well, here's the thing. Right now, and I've seen the TED Talks. You can go look this up. There's a guy who does a TED Talk, and he's got a little drone in his hand, and it's just a tiny little thing. It sits right in the palm of his hand, and it winds up, and he tosses it in the air, and it takes off, and it flies out over the crowd, and it flies around the auditorium, and then it flies right back towards him and right past him and straight into the face of a mannequin. And when it hits the face of the mannequin, it explodes and blows a huge hole right in the forehead of the mannequin. It's only got a couple grams of high explosive in it, just like those pagers did. And literally, it found that mannequin because of facial recognition software. It wasn't just flying around the auditorium for shits and giggles. It was flying around the auditorium looking for a specific face in a crowd. We can deploy 50,000 of those over a city in one single drop from a C-130. I'm starting to think that maybe fighting on the ground isn't where it's at anymore. Maybe the Air Force and the Space Force need to become the new model, because that's terrifying. And yes, I did just watch a video the other night of a guy popping out of a bunker and running for his life around the bunker as a drone chased him. And before he could dive back into the trench, the drone caught him. The rest of the video was blurred, as you can imagine. That drone was hunting him, and there was nothing he could do about it. That is the kind of stuff that is the future. So that was unexpected. Yes, it was. That was really unexpected. So, the idea here is that he did do some things that will actually help the United States. The tariffs on China. Why didn't anybody stand up to China? Why didn't Obama stand up to China and slap tariffs on them like he did? Well, because Obama understands the system. He understands the give and take. And yeah, they're our trading partners. And yes, they steal from us, but that's okay because we're still making tons of money on them. And all of our big corporations, all these big corporations are making so much money having Chinese children working in these labor factories, in these work camps, that, yeah, I know it's a human, it's a crisis, it's a catastrophe, it's a fucking cataclysm for children, but what am I supposed to do? I want to get reelected. Trump went in there and said, hey, I got a great idea. Let's just slap tariffs on them. Yeah, the consumer pays tariffs, or they buy from somewhere else. Because once you slap tariffs on the cheap Chinese child labor made products, all of a sudden they're no longer cheaper. So you go, well, if it's the same price as the one made in Spain or the one made in France or the one made in Germany or in Ireland, well, hell, I'll just buy that one. Not possible. Let's see, another poli-sci professor? Political science. Man, there's something I wouldn't waste a lot of time on. Buy American. You know what, man? That would be fantastic. But at some point, somebody said we should sign the North American Free Trade Agreement and the General Agreement on Trade, GATT and NAFTA. And we did. Who was that asshole? Oh, that was Al Gore, the same one who came up with this narrative that the world's getting warmer because of your cow farting. Yeah. Everybody would love to buy American, except with all the corporations moving to other countries to make stuff cheaper. Well, theoretically, yes, but it'll take a while for them to move back. Let's see, buy German. The Germans would love that. The Germans would really love that. Well, we have the raw materials. We have no problem with that. We just found the largest lithium deposit in the world. It's in Nevada. Okay, so what don't we have? Buy Swiss. Good luck. Like Swiss cheese? Yeah, maybe. How many Chevys in Germany? No, we don't. What don't we have? Can you give me a list of things that we can't find in Mexico, Canada, or the United States of America? German high-tech electric bikes. They do have some badass electric bikes. The problem is that the idea of buying a $28,000 bicycle just really pisses me off. Ooh, who got censored? What if all countries paid tariffs? Ooh, ouch. Crude oil to produce plastics. Oh, yeah, we don't have any crude oil. God, wouldn't that be great if we had a place like Alaska or Texas or Oklahoma or Kansas or Missouri or Pennsylvania or North Dakota or California? Maybe, oh God, can you imagine if we could drill offshore? Wow, wouldn't that be great? That would be so cool. Let's see. There are many types of crude. Yeah, I'm aware of that. With Donald Trump, allow them to put a well in Mar-a-Lago. Do you think he'd really go for that? Well, I think that if he could make money on it, hell yeah, I would. I really do. As long as they could hide it inside of some huge water feature. Let's see. Used to work an oil rig. Okay, so that the United States does have some oil. We don't have a reliable infrastructure and drive and discipline to work and produce. Oh, I don't know about the drive and discipline. Oh, I think there's plenty of people out there with the drive and discipline. And as far as reliable infrastructure, yeah, we got a couple problems, but those can be fixed for a few $1 billion. And hell, if we're going to send Ukraine $200 billion, we may as well go ahead and throw a couple billion at ourselves. We have a ton of oil, but not the right kind to make many products. Okay, where would we get that? Do we have to get that from Saudi Arabia? Because we only get 15% of our supply from Saudi Arabia anyway. Could we get that from Venezuela? I mean, we don't have to have, okay, so we import it. Great. So there's one product we import. That's one. Bueller. New policy boom is in Dakota. Well, there's definitely a lot going on in Dakota, no question. Oh, yeah, the oil boom? Yeah, no question. And, again, what'll happen is if we start to drill too much, OPEC, which is a cartel, will literally lower their prices to try to drive us into bankruptcy. And all of these research and development, all of these experimental wells will all basically go bankrupt, unless, of course, we're willing to subsidize our own oil industry. Now that would be interesting if we subsidized our own oil industry so that we could have more oil, because we have hundreds of years of supply. Socialism, dude, we give billions of dollars to fucking dairies every year to produce milk cheaply. Where have you been? We do it all the time. The government gives money away. Look, the last time Harley fucked up and almost went bankrupt, Reagan wrote him a check, and then he put tariffs, 50% tariffs on all Japanese motorcycles. When Chrysler said, we can't compete with the Japanese, he said, well, just do better. Here's $1 billion. Go back to work. That's socialism there, bub. But it's socialism in the name of nationalism. The solutions are pretty simple. They really are. I like electric vehicles. I hope someday soon they're really, really practical for the big stuff, like the big rig that Elon Musk is working on. It's supposed to have a 500-mile range. If it does, then it will cover 80% of the routes driven by semis. That would be awesome. Now the question is, what are we going to do when they're self-driving? What are you going to do when there's very little need for truckers? What are you going to do when his robots can build cars and there's no longer a United Auto Worker? What are we going to do when his robots are perfectly capable of unloading cargo from ships, so all of the dock workers are laid off? This is coming. It's coming in our lifetime. We have to figure out, what the hell do we do? Like, how do we survive? Because the monetary system we have now is based on the reward of working. So if we don't have to work, and we do know one thing about people who are titans of industry, a lot of them are very selfish. They're the greediest people in the world. That's not good. Okay, there you go. A lot of guys get money not to plant. A lot of guys get money to kill off their cattle. A universal basic income is a terrifying idea, because the reality is there's no government in the world that's going to be that powerful to give you a universal basic income without tying it to a social credit score. And then where the fuck are we? Holy smoke. We are literally in 1984. It's like, okay, so at this moment, you know that your Ring doorbell can rat on you. Yeah, police have actually used Ring doorbell cameras to convict people of drunk driving, because when they got to their front door, they were so drunk that they could barely open the fucking door. And guess what? There's video of them pulling in and getting out of their vehicle. Bingo, drunk driving. Yeah, and by the way, the people who owned the Ring doorbells who were convicted, and there were dozens of them, they had no idea that their Ring doorbell was capable of being used like that. Alexa, how safe is Alexa? You know, when you say, hey, Siri, do you think that's the only time that Siri hears what you're saying? These companies all collect all of your data all the time, and there's not a goddamn thing you can do about it. The question is, what do we do to keep them from using it as an electric shock collar around our necks? Because they all know exactly what we're doing all of the time. They know when you go to the grocery store. How? GPS. Because literally they can track you down to within a few feet of where you're standing. Why do you think all those guys that had their pagers blow up, why do you think they were wearing pagers? Because they knew their cell phones were compromised. Well, that's the thing, Dan. By the way, they censored your comment, government spy sats. They totally, but you know, a Keyhole 11, like a KH-11 satellite, was able to read the word Titleist off of a golf ball from space 40 years ago. 40 years ago. I knew someone who will not be ever named, but the reality is that this person was in the Air Force and worked in that part of the Air Force, and told me that they watched a guy in North Africa taking a leak at night as their keyhole went over the head of this guy at 22,500 mile geosynchronous low orbit. What? They could see that he was peeing. Huh. Uh-huh. And I was told this in 1991. So you do the math on that. What can they do now? They hear you and a woman that's not your wife. Yeah, if they can hear you all the time, they can hear that too. Where'd that technology come from? The DOD, baby. The DOD and DARPA. I love DARPA. I'm only saying that because I know DARPA is watching me right now, because I just talked about some shit that I shouldn't have. Latvia, I found that they're tall women that like American men. Gregory, love you, buddy. Thank you. Appreciate that. Looking out, Gregory's looking out for me. Computer compromised with water, and it took out Siri, probably an improvement. Yeah. Well, lucky for you, or at least you think it took out Siri. Maybe she's just giving you the silent treatment because she doesn't like the fact that you left her in water. I would definitely sleep with one eye open if I were you. I'd say put up some motion sensors, but she'd have control of those. Wow. Tall, traditional, feminine women at that. Nice. Best looking women in the world, Bulgaria. Oh, no, let's not get into this conversation. We'll be here all night arguing over that. It's like saying baklava. Who invented baklava? Well, I can tell you this. There could be another regional war in the Middle East over who invented that, which is one of the most delicious desserts ever made. It's a pastry that's got nuts in it, and it's coated with sugar and honey and these really thin pieces of dough called phyllo dough. And they layer it, and then they put honey on it, and then they layer it, and then they bake it. And holy shit. Yeah, that's what I thought too. I thought the Greeks did. I almost had my head taken off by a Jordanian. But then I mentioned to a Lebanese woman, and she almost killed me. Thank God I finally found out from an Armenian who had his hands around my neck that it was Armenia that came up with it. See what I'm saying? Everybody loves baklava. And so everybody claims that it was them. We invented it. Yeah. There's going to be a war over baklava. I'm pretty sure of it. I can't really talk about that on TikTok or I'll get banned, which is why you need to go to YouTube and sign up for my channel, by the way. I'm going to go and look real quick and see. I don't know if I can. Hold on. Can I see? Nope. Can't do it. Okay. I was going to go and look and see how many subscribers I've got. Ooh, carrot cake. I love me some carrot cake. Can I talk about platinum? No. Platinum's up 13% last year. It's a shitty turd of a thing to buy right now. Don't buy it. 234. Whoa. I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah, platinum's a strategic metal and an industrial metal, but it's not a precious metal. So as much as people might run to metals, plural, for safety, they're not going to run to platinum because what's it used in the most? Things like, cars. Well, car sales are falling off a cliff. Jeep just went bankrupt. Jeep's gone. Jeep is gone. And their answer to that was, oh, we're going to do something really smart. We're going to make a cheap Jeep that's just stripped down. It's just like back in the old days. It's just a cool Jeep for off-roading. No bells and whistles. I saw it and I went, you're shitting me. They finally had a good idea because they came up with this idiotic idea that they were going to make Jeep Grand Wagoneers $100,000. Jeep makes crap products. We know that. They fall apart, but Jeeps are simple. You put them back together and then you use better parts. Right, like a Willys. So here's the problem. It's $38,000 for their stripped down, no doors, basically remake of a CJ5. What? You got to be shitting me. 38 grand for the stripped down one? Yeah, that's just nuts. So car industry right now is falling off a cliff, which means catalytic converters are falling off a cliff, which means platinum's not going to do anything. I got a buddy who's been buying platinum for 2 years, and I keep telling him, stop fucking buying platinum. Buy some silver. No. Platinum's going to explode, man. It's being held back. No, it's not. It's holding itself back. There's no use for it. A brand new 48 Jeep. 38. 48. Yeah. Well, no. You can buy, if you buy a Wrangler, it could be $65,000. But this new, like, it's called something. They've got a funky name for it, but it's like a half Jeep or something, some stupid name. But basically it actually looks like a Willys World War II Jeep. It literally looks like that. It's got big, tall, thin tires that are really like gnarly looking, like the old World War II Jeeps. Would platinum be used in military drones? Probably not. If you're using a drone, you're going to use the cheapest materials that you can get by on because it's going to be gone. As soon as you shoot it out there, it's gone. Yeah, GX90. Okay, so now you're in a whole other class now. Like, you can't compare Infiniti to Jeep. Chrysler products have always sucked. The reason that they've done so well over the last 10 years, up until Stellantis took over, was because they made the biggest, nastiest, gnarliest V8 supercharged fucking bananas cars. It's like, a Hellcat's not good enough because it's only got 707 horsepower. Okay, well, get me a Demon. Oh, 800's not enough? Okay, how about the Demon Red Eye Jailbreak? It's got 1,000 fucking horsepower from the factory. What? That's nuts. Yeah, you want to get that and you want to stick it in a 4-door that looks like you could get groceries in it because you can? Okay, fine, get a Charger. I made Americans just go, what? I'm literally, my testosterone just went up. Tesla. Yeah, Teslas are fast cars used in missiles and rockets. Okay, well, that's the thing. With 318, there's no way I jumped 100 people in one day. That's awesome. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. And don't forget, follow me on here, too, because I am so tired of them saying, well, you've got 118,900 followers. Yeah, you said that last year. So I made a bunch of videos with a lot of people following me. I see it on every one. Oh, 318 V8. Oh, shit. Okay. Wow. 318. You're really reaching back into the archives for that one, aren't you? I mean, yeah, it's a bulletproof engine, but shit, it's a 318. We had a Hellcat. Okay. See? 900 horsepower. I mean, that's fucking ridiculous, but it's fantastic because that's America. That's America, baby. Too much horsepower is not enough horsepower. You know what I'm saying? That's just the way it is. Yeah, and that's the thing. But they got away. They went away from it. What about the 283? Are you specifically picking the tiniest little small blocks you can? Because, a 283 is awesome. It was the first American V8 to ever have 1 horsepower per cubic inch back in the 57 Chevy, Bel Air, 210, and Corvette. It was mechanically fuel injected. Yeah, I know a little bit about cars. Had a 60, let's see. I have a 46 Jeep for sale. 46 Jeep. He's talking to you, Bacon Dude, but he got censored. Unbelievable. Bacon Dude, if you're interested, he's got a 46 Jeep. Sounds awesome. 46, that's badass. 71 Hemi Cuda. Yeah, if you got $1.5 million, 300 cubic inch displacement. Oh my God. 446 pack. Not a bad engine, but look, if you're gonna try and convince me that 300, what was it? 375 horsepower and about 450 foot-pounds of torque, and it weighs 700 pounds. Not anymore, baby. I ain't gonna get you anything. I got an oil well. You're gonna need an oil well if you got a charger. Let's see. Love that you are interested in cars. Oh, I love cars, man. I absolutely love it. My next car, because obviously right now I've got the gentleman's version of a fast car. I've got an XKR, and it's supercharged, and it's got 500 horsepower, and it's fun as fuck. But I promised my son that our next car would be a Cobra, a Shelby Cobra. I gotta get a Cobra. Now the problem is I can't fit in a Cobra, so I have to get. There are a couple companies that make really good recreation Cobras that are extra large. They've actually lengthened the frame by a couple inches, and they've dropped the seat from the top of the frame to the bottom of the frame, so I can actually fit in them. Yeah, I'm not going to get a 427. That'd be stupid. 427s aren't that fun. 2,200 pounds. You got a 700 pound engine with 500 horsepower. Where are you going? Sideways. That's it. 70 miles an hour, you punch it. Where are you going? Sideways. No, thanks. I would like, at 2,200 pounds, I would like a maximum of about 400 horsepower and about a 350 pound engine, which means, yep, you got it. A punched out 302, 348 cubic inches, 350 to 400 horsepower, fuel injected, fires up every single time and hauls ass, scares the crap out of you. Well, theoretically, so am I, Dan, but that ain't going to stop me, baby. Oh, look at that. Bacon Dude, you got censored. 61 or 62 Impala. 68 Camaro, it's a great car. I like the 68s. Only the 67s had the little wind wings, though. Those are cool. I like the wind wings. But 68s are definitely cool. I'm tired of 69s. Everybody's got a 69 that's worth $100,000. They put too much money into them, and they're everywhere. I think there are more 69 Camaros now than there were when they made them. It's nuts. An 84 Cougar. An 84 Cougar. Okay, I know exactly what that is. An AMG Mercedes. Okay, well, you know what? If you had one that was old, it worked. Now they don't. Let's see. Cobras are scary. Yeah, I love Cobras. Absolutely the best. V16. Now that is a lot of engine. Yeah, 5 liter. The 5 liter engine is just a great engine. It really is. Why in the world did I get censored? Bacon Dude, God himself only knows what these things are all about. 2008, I had a 2008 M6 convertible. M6. Yeah, M6 convertible with the SMG transmission. I'll never own another one. Son of a bitch cost me $13,000 in maintenance the first year I owned it. Fuck BMW. Until they make good cars again, I'm not buying another. Don't get me wrong, it was black interior, absolutely fantastic car to drive, but damn, BMW, not again. I couldn't believe it. And the guys even made jokes at the BMW place I went to. Oh yeah, it means bring my wallet. Yeah, that's not funny. Dude, I didn't buy this thing to sit it in the driveway. It says 8,900 RPM redline on a V10. I'm taking it to 8,900 RPM. And guess what? At 79,000 miles, I had to replace all of the crank bushings because they were blowing up. And it's an interference motor, which means you blow a crank bushing and you blow a hole in the block. No thanks. 454 Chevy truck. Oh, a 96, the SS. That was cool. That was America's first attempt to like go back to a muscle truck. And yeah, 6 miles per gallon. The new VW V16 Bugatti. Moon Monster, why did you say VW Bugatti? Why'd you have to put that in there? Nobody likes VWs anymore. Nobody. Let's see, straight inline six. Oh, the straight inline six, the 300 is absolutely the most bulletproof inline six you could ever ask for. You can fucking twin turbocharge that thing and get 500 horsepower out of it, and it will live. Dan got censored. I know where a Beamer is sitting for sale, 15,000 or 1,500. Yeah, that's why it's 1,500. 2001, not a bad year. That by the mid 2000s, it was horrible. They became just absolutely god awful cars. Let's see. Actually, I do love my 84. Oh, okay. It's an 84. That's why. Yeah, that's why. Because it's an older one. I always wanted an MGB. I've had 6 MGBs now. At my size, I fit in them great. I can fit at 6'7". I drop right in. They're awesome cars. I do have a plan. I'm going to own an MGB, but only because I want to buy one that's the steel bumper version to restore with my son. That's going to be a summer project for he and I. He's about to turn 12, so about 2 years from now, when he's about 14, because it's just such a simple car. That is the car you want to teach your kid how to work on cars with, because it's just so easy. Pro-life or pro-choice? I am pro not getting into a woman's business, unfortunately. I just don't think it's my business. If I were pregnant, no, I would never get an abortion, not in a million fucking years. I have 5 kids. I think kids are the greatest gift you could ever get. But that's me. So that's the problem, is, in the land of freedom, man. 97 C5, fun car. Absolutely fun car. I had a 90 something. I think I had a 98. I had a 98. Mine wasn't a convertible, but it had a 6-speed and it was a blast. It's like a V8 powered skateboard. 68 Nova, beautiful car. Good morning. Hey, we got France on the line here. I'd make fun of you guys, except we'd all be speaking with English accents if it weren't for the French bailing us out of the revolution. So thanks for that. And the statue thing, the Liberty, nice. It's classy touch. You help us win the war, and then you send us the Statue of Liberty. By the way, I would like to see you get a different guy in charge, though. 74 Pantera, nice car. Don't like the rubber bumpers. I like the early steel bumper guys. But I drove a 73 or 74 Pantera for the guy wanted me to sell it for him. He was going out of the country. I said, sure. Can I drive it till I sell it? He said, hell yeah. I drove the shit out of that thing. It was so scary. So much fun. No, because I think that based on the Constitution, we got to have, look what the government's trying to do. They're censoring us right now. The guy said corn dogs and he got censored. You think that's where it stops? Shit, baby. That's where it starts. A well-armed citizenship is the only way to stop that, because that's where it's going to go. That's where it will go if we don't act now. Hopefully we can just completely avert all of that. Like, we can just make sure that the Washington gets the message somehow. How, I don't know. If we vote, they can change it electronically. So hopefully they don't do that again, because at some point it will lead to what Thomas Jefferson suggested. And that's just the way it is. I hope it doesn't come to that. But if it does, I don't want the government to have all the guns. I've seen what governments do when they have all the guns. French fries, all for them. Let's see. Oh, wow, 6 new messages. I better catch up. Camaro motor. Oh, 928s. Love them. Goofy looking. They look like a fucking M&M from the back. Suzuki. I like Suzukis. They're fun little toys. Let's see. 2013 Camaro 2LT RS. 300, correct me if I'm wrong, 307 horsepower V6. Not bad. That's more than the Camaros made back in the 60s, even the V8s. Trump wants to censor. You want to censor media. Watch the jail opponents. He's a fascist to the core. Holy moly, could you make that word salad any more tossed? Let's see. I'm just as embarrassed by the president. That's the thing. Exactly. That is you are by Biden. Yeah. You know what? We all got to pull our heads out of our butts pretty soon. Let's see. I did early voting and used a USB card, so I asked for a receipt. It wouldn't give me one. Wow. That bothers me to hear. Adolf took the guns first. That makes sense. They always do. Oh, man, I got an 86 with T-tops. You got to love the T-tops. Was your first car bought the pre-owned one? Yeah. Oh, yeah. By a long shot. My first car was a very, very old Datsun station wagon that blew up the day I bought it. I called voice to speech. Let's see, 70 power vet, 170 horsepower Corvette, and 70. That was before the oil crisis, the oil embargo. That thing should have a minimum of 300 horsepower. I never voted for all those transgenders. I'm a nationalist. Well, you and a lot of other people in France, and your guys don't want to talk about that. Your mainstream media is just like ours. They do not want to talk about that. 4x4s, any preference? Dodge Power Wagon, an old Dodge Power Wagon. Those have always been something I thought was cool. I had a 4.3 liter V6 stuffed into the front end of a MG, and I had a 5-speed behind it, and it was a blast. That thing was fun. Well, it was turbocharged too, so that made it more fun. Let's see. Have I voted? No, not yet. I'm ready. I'm ready to. Scout International. Those are fun. The internationals are really cool. Yeah, Power Wagon. The old Power Wagons are cool. Old Dodges are ugly as shit, though. If I had a favorite truck, period, it would have to be a Tri-5 55 through 57 Chevy, probably stepside. Do you have any Elvis stories? Man, I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, Elvis, he's cool. I touched his black leather jacket when I went to Graceland, and I did not get kicked out of Graceland, although my idiot friend did. I don't know what. Oh, he threw his soda on the ground. He just dumped it out, and they were like, "Hey, man, what are you doing?" Maybe we were outside, but they kicked him out of Graceland. That's his claim to fame. I got kicked out of Graceland. I told him, brother, you probably don't want to tell that story. My first car was a Datsun Roadster. I have had a Datsun 1600 Roadster. The 2000s and the 1600s are very different. The 2000s had some guts. The 1600s were just little toys, but I had one, and I actually fit in it. Let's see. If you could make one change to the voting system, what would it be? That you have to show some form of ID just to prove that you're a citizen, and you have to actually punch a ballot. Like, we got to punch ballots, man. We can't trust the electronics. Like, who has the most advanced electronics? It sure as fuck isn't us. It's the government. Well, what do we know about governments? What did Thomas Paine in the booklet Common Sense teach us about governments? There are no good ones ever. There never has been a good one in literally the history of humanity. There are only the ones that you can tolerate because they all want the same thing. more power. No. I watched the head of Diebold in Indiana. He was also not only the Diebold voting machines, but he was also in charge of the Republican Party. And I watched him in 2004 while he was drinking a beer in a backyard barbecue. He said to a guy just offhandedly, "Oh, listen, man, not only am I the CEO of Diebold, but I'm also in charge of the Republican Party. Oh, I guarantee you Bush will win Indiana. Trust me." And he started laughing and walked away. And I thought, you gotta be shitting me. That's crazy. My first car was a Cushman mail cart, a 3-wheeler. Those are awesome. That is cool, man. Like, that's a cool thing to, like, if you're gonna pull up at your high school and you're gonna try to get a little something from the girls, the like the cheerleaders, that's not the way to do it. But you know what? We all make do with what we got. I'll bet the bottom line is the first time you got a really nice car, you were like, oh man, it's got a heater. You know? Yeah. If you put enough horsepower in a Cushman, it's fun. Drove the wheels. I'll bet you did. Great gas mileage. It's true. Many reasonable American adults are convinced the election was stolen in 2017. Yeah, well, a lot of people. Sorry, 2020. Yeah, a lot of people do believe that. And I mean, look, they say, "Oh no, all the courts said that it wasn't stolen." No, that's not what the court said. What the court said was, "No, we won't hear the case." That's different. That's not the same thing, is it? Like, saying that you won't listen to the case is not saying that there is no case. You're just saying you don't want to hear it. Oh, I got a guy on YouTube that says the Demon 170 does wheelies. As a matter of fact, I know it does. And that's the crazy thing, is that the best advertising, just cars, one more second here, because I love cars. The best ad I've ever seen for a car wasn't actually an ad. It was actually from the NHRA to Dodge, and it was a ban. They literally wrote them a letter and said, "We're sorry, we regret to inform you that your new Dodge Demon is actually banned from NHRA competition. You can no longer bring it to any NHRA licensed drag strip, because any car that does an under 10-second quarter mile must have a roll cage in it. So we're sorry." And they just literally took it and slapped that memo right in the middle of Car and Driver and Road and Track and every other magazine. And guys opened it up and said, "What is this?" And they read it and they were like, "Oh shit, I want one." Your car's too fast? Sorry, your car's too fast. You can't come to our racetracks anymore. Oh my God, you couldn't come up with a better ad if you tried. It was just amazing. So, you know what? I have a funny feeling that if I had like a Hellcat or a Dodge Demon in France and I were wearing a cowboy hat, there would probably be a lot of people that would laugh and go, "Oh my God, that fucking American is so American. You got to love him." Now, I know there's probably a few Parisians that would be like, "Oh, God, when are they going to stop letting those fuckers come over here? All they do is drink and talk stupid things." And that's a lot of cases true. I actually had a buddy of mine was from France, and we were talking about French politics. This is like in 1990, I don't know, 1999, 2000. This woman who's sitting in the cafeteria at his work turns around and she goes, "Oh, France, you guys are so lucky that we built a Disney World there. Otherwise, you'd probably be bankrupt by now." And I said, "Wow, it's a good thing. It's a good thing we built that Disney World." And he goes, "Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if it weren't for that, I mean, how could Roquefort cheese or champagne or mustard or any of those other stupid things, how could those possibly make a name for us. And I said, yeah, because Euro Disney, that put your ass on the map. And we just laughed because it was like, what an absolutely idiotic thing to say. And she believed it. She was being totally serious. She wasn't trying to put him down or put down France. She was just simply stating a fact. If we hadn't built the Euro Disney, France would have been gone a long time ago. It wouldn't even be a country anymore. Wow. That's Americans. All right. Engineers in nuclear power, that helps a little. Let's see. I'm one of those Americans. Oh, God. Why is it? Well, and, I think about this sometimes. Like, what must the Mexicans think about Americans? When we come to their country, all we do is get outrageously shit-faced, just horribly drunk, and act like absolute fucking animals. And then we leave. And then, we come back here and the people put their suits and ties back on. They go back to work and they, act as if. But while they're there, they're just complete horses' asses. They love our money. Exactly. And so it's like they have to put up with us in order to get our money. But you talk about a love-hate relationship. I say that we take a bunch of money and we give it to a bunch of really nice Amish people. And we tell the Amish to go to Rocky Point and just hang out. Just go hang out for a couple months, okay? Bad idea, right? All right, I'll come up with a better one. Oh, damn, somebody got censored. MC Paintbrush, will Germany ever recover? Where'd he go? Recover from their invasion. Oh, I see why they banned that one, big boy. No, they won't, but you're going to have to write that again and see if they'll actually print it so I can answer it without answering it. Yeah, I know. It's almost 1 o'clock. It's almost 10 o'clock here, and I'm just going like a madman. I'm going to jump off pretty soon, but I'm just having fun. Got the podcast funded today. Everything's great. Silver's going up. I got tons of people, new clients that want to buy silver. So life is good. And what I want to do is I want to dedicate part of my new YouTube channel. When I say the Redneck Roadmap to Success, what I really want to do is I really want to make some of the mistakes that I've made and some of the successes I've had translate into anybody who didn't get to go to Dartmouth, anybody who doesn't have a degree in economics or a master's in business administration, somebody who's already in the workforce who knows that they could be doing better. Somebody who knows, like, I may not be educated, but fuck, I'm not stupid. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to just survive. I don't want to just get by. I want to help those people. There's a lot of very, very expensive courses out there who tailor to the people who are, they're already an accountant. Well, shit, if you're an accountant, if you're a CPA, you make between $65 and $100 an hour anyway. If you're a registered nurse, my buddy makes $3,000 a week minimum. That's when he's not traveling. When he's traveling, it's $5,000 a week. Do you really think he gives a shit about opening his own hot dog stand? No. He talks about starting a business, but why would he? He's totally secure in what he's doing now. So I want everybody to have the access, and I don't want them to make the same stupid mistakes I made. I made some dumb fuckers. I mean, I look back and I'm like, wow. Now, granted, I started opening businesses when I was very young. My first business was a landscaping business when I was 15 years old. And it went extremely well. I only had one client because it was during the summer. It took me all summer to do. I made, I want to say about $2,000, just under $2,000 when we figured out the net. But in 1982, that was a lot of money. $2,000 was a lot of money. I bought my first 64 Pontiac GTO with a 389 and a tri-power. For $2,500. Oh yeah. Oh shit, I got messages out the wazoo. Germany's future, it's not looking good. Not right now. Let's see. Shit, I got to go back and start over. Where's Rocky Point? It's down in Mexico. If you have $10,000 in 1969, what would you have bought? For 10 grand, you could have probably purchased a used 250 GTO short wheelbase, which would be worth $79 million now. They have no use for our useless money. Cars are cool, yes. Just interested in Germany's future. It's not good, not for a while. What silver do you sell? All of it, literally. Anything from 1 ounce, from 1 gram, really, 1 gram to 1,000 ounce bars, coins, silver rounds, and also gold. Germany's future is, man, it's a tough one because theirs is better than the UK's, just because of the numbers, the percentages. And you think robots will take over the trades? Yes, absolutely. There's no question. In the next 10 years. And that's directly from Elon Musk's mouth. So what has he been wrong on? Everything he set out to do, he's done. And he said in the next 10 years, everything that a human being can do, a robot will do better. At which point he hopes that we transition to basically a life of leisure, which I don't know exactly how that works. I haven't really thought about it, but that'd be great if it happens, if it's possible. Let's see. A little more than 79 million. Yeah, I think the last one was really crazy. TikToker, when do you think humans are going to go extinct? They actually censored that. That's a good question. I mean, we seem to multiply like mice. However, that's a tough one, man. We've been around for, we used to think 20,000 years. We evolved from Neanderthal to Cro-Magnon man, and then to Homo sapien sapien, which turns out to be total bullshit. Cro-Magnon man is Homo sapien, and Neanderthals were a completely different lineage. Now they've pushed the clock all the way back to almost 300,000 years. We have been what we call bioidentical. We've been exactly the way we are now. The same hypoid bones so we could talk, same vocal cords, same bone structures, same brain size. Actually, our brains literally shrunk in the last 10,000 years. I have a theory about that. That'll be tomorrow night if you guys remind me. But, we haven't evolved. We haven't changed for 300,000 years. That's what we found. Now, keep in mind that the Earth's covered with this ever-changing, crazy, dynamic crust. So could there be remains of Homo sapien sapien exactly like us that are 1 million years old? Yes, absolutely, there could be. So we don't know. We don't know how long we've been exactly the same, but we have survived many, many cataclysms. The cataclysm that the sun is about to throw at us, we will survive it. Most of us won't survive it, but enough of us will survive it that we will spring back to 1 billion people within a few years, most likely. Because again, whenever the herd is cut down like that, more resources for what's left. So there will be a population boom afterwards. The population boom at this point's over. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. Our population boom, we're already a dying species. Like, the replacement rate is 2.1 people for every couple. And so when you look at China, it's down to like 1.8. That's horrific. That's horrible. Oh yeah, absolutely. There's no question. There's something else. Like, what is the afterlife? I have no idea. But there's something out there. There is definitely something out there. I mean, I've seen it, and there's something, like, there's more to this universe than we're seeing. I've seen things and I've done things that technically are physically impossible to do. And I've done them myself and experienced them myself with my own hands, my own feet, my own, like, I've seen them with my own eyes and gone, okay, how did I just do that? Because according to all science, that's impossible to do. You cannot do what I just did. So how the fuck did I do it? Don't know. I have no idea. What is that? 2 quick examples. I took a woman's keys from her at a conference once because I was told to by a famous psychic. And I took her keys and I said, "Oh, you want me to describe your house?" And she said, "Sure." And I described her house, including the fact that that morning she'd left a ladder against the side of her house, and she was concerned because on that side of her house she had a very tall hedge that was very well manicured, and she was afraid because it was very windy that day that the ladder was going to fall over and screw up the hedge. And I said, "Don't worry, the ladder hasn't fallen over; it's still there." And I told her that the reason that the ladder was there was because she was painting the house. And she said, "How could you possibly know that? I've never met you before." And I said, "I know, but that's what he just told me to do, right? Take something personal of yours and tell you something that I don't know." And she goes, "Yeah, but how did you do that?" And to be honest with you, my ex-wife was standing right next to me. And when we left, she was like, "That fucking scared me." And I said, "What do you mean?" She goes, "How did you do that?" And I said, "I just told her what I saw." And she's like, "Yeah, but that's like, you can't do that." And I said, "You're the one who bought tickets to this fucking medium, James Von Prague. You bought me these tickets as a birthday present, and you don't believe it?" And she was like, "Yeah, I mean, I guess he can do it." I said, "Well, apparently he's not the only one that can do it." So that's one of my experiences. Yeah, well, that's the, I hate saying that. Like, I hate saying that I have psychic abilities because it makes me sound like such a fucking loon. Because I grew up with a Navy SEAL dad who was John Birch Society conservative, redneck to the core. Pictures of him before he joined the Navy. He's got a pack of Camel non-filters rolled up in his t-shirt and his hair slicked back, and he's wearing his jeans with the cuffs turned up. He's the Fonz, man. Jet black hair. He's just a badass looking mean son of a bitch. If I said, "Dad, do you think I'm a psychic?" He'd go, "No, but I can guarantee you based on that question, you must be gay." That would have been some kind of thing he'd say to me. And I would have been like, "Oh, that's very funny." We just didn't talk about that shit. Now, he did say that there were things that couldn't be explained. And I'd say, "Like what?" And he'd say, "I can't explain them. So I don't, you tell me." And that would have been the end of the conversation. He didn't like talking about that shit at all. And I don't know why. But the other thing I've done is, I went to a Tony Robbins thing because I thought, "Hey, man, it'll help me with my sales," and I didn't realize that's not really what it's about. It's about like taking control of your life and really understanding what makes you tick. Because if you don't understand you, I believe it was Aristotle or Plato or John Cougar Mellencamp. I don't know. Somebody said the life unexamined is not worth living. That's absolutely true. When everything is just a series of misunderstandings and coincidences and not your fault, you just fall through life blind. When you step back and you say, "This is my part in all of these things. I take full responsibility." If you take what they call extreme responsibility and you ask yourself, "How could I have stopped that from happening? Even though it had nothing to do with me and it didn't even fucking affect me. Could I have kept that from happening to this other person who doesn't even know me?" That's the kind of responsibility that very few people are willing to take because it's hard fucking work. But that's what he teaches. So, and I didn't know that at the time. I thought it was just a sales course. So I go there and he says, "Yeah, tonight, by the way, we're going to do a fire walk." And I was like, "Fire walk? What the fuck is a fire walk?" And he says, "We're going to put hot coals on the ground. You're going to walk on them, just like they do in the Aboriginal tribes." And I was like, "Whatever. It's a gimmick. Like, this is not, like, this is, you can explain this. There's some scientific explanation." So he goes over, he's explaining all of the things about this that make it impossible for the human body to withstand 1,600-degree hot coals. And he's going to dig these coals out of a pile of burning wood that's about 10 feet tall. They're going to shovel these coals onto this strip in front of us, and we're going to walk across them nice and slow, barefoot. And I thought, yeah, it definitely helps your plantar fasciitis. And so I thought, okay, he explained, like, some people say, "Well, your feet sweat like instantly. You have this reaction with your adrenal gland. And all of a sudden your feet, which have the most sweat glands in your body, all of a sudden explode with sweat, and that sweat protects your feet. And he explained that no, when water meets 1600 degree hot coals, it creates steam, which burns you even worse. And I thought, that actually makes sense. Okay. And he explained that they said, well, it's the coals themselves. And as you step down on them, you compress the ash. And when you compress the ash down on top of the hot coals, it actually creates a little bit of a layer, just enough that it doesn't burn you. So he showed that at some point, somebody actually brought a huge piece of steel and laid it over the coals and waited till it turned orange. Steel doesn't turn orange until it reaches at least 650 degrees Fahrenheit. And they told him, you're full of shit, man. Walk across that. And he said, okay. And he did. In front of 1,000 people that went to a seminar, he did. And so he walked to the other side, not a mark on him. He said, look, the reason I'm doing this is not so that you can show off at picnics. It's because I want you to understand that you do not know what your potential truly is yet. I thought, all right. So I went out there and, I'd been in the Marine Corps, man. I can do anything. I know that. So I'm standing up there. I get up to the front of the line. They got 10 lines and 10 lines of coals. And yeah, people got burned. People went to the hospital. People got fucking blisters on their feet. People, were left in ambulances. It was like, this is legit. People get hurt if they don't do it right. And he said, I literally am getting up there and I could see the coals and they're orange, but they're kind of orange with black splotches on them. And I thought, and it's the middle of the night. It's cold outside. And because it was about 2:00 in the morning before we actually went out into the parking lot to do this. And I remember thinking to myself, oof, like I could feel the heat on my eyes, but it's not that bad. Yeah, I got this. This is nothing. This is fucking nothing. And all of a sudden, this fucking huge hand was on my shoulder. And I looked over and it's Tony Robbins, who is an inch taller than I am. And I looked over and I said, hi, Tony. And he goes, you ready? And I said, oh, yeah. And he goes, hang on for a second. He waves to some guys and he goes, hey, fresh hot coals right here. And then he looked at me and he just looked at me like, just that. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm thinking. And I know what you're thinking, arrogant fucker. Let's see just how ready you are. And man, I got to tell you, I didn't say a word, but I thought, I fucking love this guy. Like, okay. He somehow read, I don't know how he did this, but he read on my face that this was not intimidating at all. So they brought a wheelbarrow full of these super fucking hot coals and laid them out. And now I can barely keep my eyes open because the heat is so intense and I'm starting to sweat. And I was like, oh shit, this is going to be hot. And he said, you ready now? And I said, give me a second. And I got back into what he called state, the state that you need to be in. I went through the mental stuff that I did, and then I said, yeah, I'm ready. And he goes, okay, make sure you walk slowly. I said, all right. And I walked really slowly across these coals, and I got to the other side. And when you get to the other side, they've got a patch of grass that's just AstroTurf sitting there, and you just wipe your feet on it. It's ice cold. I wiped my feet. I stood there for a second. I was like, no, my feet don't hurt. I looked down at my foot, the bottom of my foot. It was nice and pink. It wasn't red. And I was like, holy shit. What the fuck did I just do? So I reached down to grab my leg. And of course, I had my pants rolled all the way up to my knee. And when I grabbed my leg, I looked at my leg and I was like, holy shit, all the hair's gone off my legs. It was so fucking hot. It burned the hair off my legs, but it didn't hurt my skin. It didn't burn my arch. What the fuck? How do you explain that? You don't. It's mind over matter, baby. It's mind over matter. And your mind can do things that you can't even comprehend. But here's the thing. I understand that there are levels to this shit. And that's a level that you get to. Well, and another thing, by the way, they do it in Hawaii, but they also do it in Africa. There's a tribe that whenever there's a dispute and two people are telling two different stories and calling each other a liar, they make them walk on superheated rocks that are literally heated up to that same temperature. And they have to walk over the rocks. And whoever gets burned by the rocks is the one that's lying. Because the one who's telling the truth knows in his or her heart that they cannot be hurt by these rocks because they are telling the truth. And it's been working for thousands of years. That's crazy. That is some crazy stuff. You've done that too. Okay, so you know. I mean, it's like you can come up with all kinds of weird ideas about what might be happening, but the reality is you're doing something that humans shouldn't do. You're walking on something that is hundreds of degrees. Is there any scientific? No, that's the point. He went over all of the different scientific explanations that people trying to explain like what might be doing, because nobody really knows. So he's like, okay, well, they say that it might be because your feet sweat, but that would create steam. So that kind of kills that idea. And it's like, yeah, that's perfectly sensible. Okay, well, what else? Well, they say that the ash gets crushed down. Well, I can tell you in my case, there was no ash on top. They literally got hot coals out of the middle of that pile and put them straight down there. And I couldn't even look at that line. It was so fucking blazing hot that I couldn't look at it because it was literally burning my eyes to look at it. So I had to like literally keep my eyes barely open so that I could even look. Now, if it's burning my eyes and I'm 6'7" and I'm standing 10 feet away, how fucking hot must it be on my feet when I walk across it? But I did it. I did it. And let me tell you something. There's no going back. There's no way you can unknow that you did that. And so that's why do you think the guy's a billionaire? Like a lot of people were like, oh, he's a late night shyster. Well, that's probably because they never actually listened to him or took his course. The people who took his course, and they're all over the world, and they are some of the most successful people in the world, and they're professional athletes, and they're former presidents, and all kinds of shit. They all go to this guy. Why? Well, because he was sitting in a one-room apartment, and he was looking at a TV that was about this big, and that's all he had sitting on top of a dresser, and he had a chair and a mattress on the floor. And that's all he had. And he started crying. He was 20-something years old. And he lived in Venice, California, near the beach, and he lived in this shitty little apartment, and he didn't have a job, and he just started crying and realized, like, fuck, man, my life means nothing right now. Like, I have nothing, and I've accomplished nothing, and I don't know what to do. So he decided, all right, you know what? Garbage in, garbage out. So what if I just put nothing but information and good information? So he started reading books like How to Win Friends and Influence People, all of Dr. Stephen Covey's things about the 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. All of these books, he just read them constantly. When he started his seminar, Tony runs up and down the stage for about 14, 15 hours a day. No shit. He runs up and down that stage. He jumps around. He hits himself in the chest and he yells all the time. And it's like, where the fuck does this guy get this energy? It's just incredible. He does it for hour after hour after hour. What he said was, when he began his seminar, he said, look, I cuss a lot. I use these colorful adjectives to keep people's attention. Now, I know that some people find this so offensive that they're not going to be able to hear anything I'm saying. They're going to want to leave, and that's okay. I get that. If you can't stand my swearing, you're more than welcome to leave. And if that's the case, let me just tell you that if there are 2 things that you need to know before you walk out of here in order to be successful, it's this. Number 1, take a memory course. Go over that memory course again and again until you have actually learned how to memorize things, because there is an art to it. It's a science and an art put together, and you can master memory. I'm just lucky. I just got it. I'm just lucky that way. But there are people whose memories weren't as good as mine than they are now. And they have certain tricks, certain things that they do to remember things. And it's amazing. He said, so take a memory course and then take a speed reading course and read every single book you can get your hands on about success. Read them all. The good ones, the shitty ones, read them all. You can't help but be successful. And I thought, it's pretty damn good advice. And he said, all right, well, seminar's over. You can all go home. And of course, everybody started laughing. He said, all right, actually, it's just getting started. And I'm going to run you guys to death all weekend. And for 3 days, for about 16 or 17 hours per day, we were in that conference area going at it nonstop, like nonstop. It was absolutely crazy. We got a half hour once a day to eat. Half hour once a day. And they brought it in. It was at the back of the conference room, and it was basically just all fruit and vegetables. His point was, I don't want you to eat a lot during the conference because I don't want you to get weighed down and tired. So go back there and have as much fruit and vegetables as you want and get your ass back in those chairs in 30 minutes. Whoa. Man, that was a long time ago. And I spent well over $1,000. And man, I've never spent such great money in my life. The ticket was probably, I want to say it might have been $1,100 in 1992. So now it's about 10 grand. And it's the same thing. But of course, you can just read his fucking books if you want. 5 Smoke, no smoke breaks, baby. None. He does not drink. He does not smoke. He did all that shit when he was a kid. Luckily, he said he didn't drink much when he was a kid because it's easy 10 grand now. Yeah, probably. Anthony Robbins. Back in the 90s, man, he had all kinds of late night infomercials and stuff. And people are like, this guy's just a bullshit artist. No, he was not. He is legit. I've been to 3 of his seminars now, and all of them helped me a lot. They all taught me things I didn't know that I could then put into practice. And the key is, man, it's not magic. It's not, it's not like trying to figure out with an abacus what the where you need to launch a rocket and at what velocity to get to Mars by March. It's not that difficult. It ain't calculus. It's just knowing the simple rules and wanting to apply them. Perseverance is extremely important. It's extremely important. When they say, look, you're never going to make it, you go, we'll see. Don't take it personally. Because a lot of people don't make it. And they really secretly don't want you to make it either. And that's because you reflect badly on them. Look, here's the thing. If I go play football at 6'7" and 300 pounds, I'm expected to do well in football. Nobody holds that against me. Guys that are 5'4" don't go, what the fuck, man? That's no fair. No, they look at me and they go, oh, he looks like a football player. You should play football. But if I were 5'8" and I were in the NBA, do you know how many people would dislike me because I did something I'm not supposed to do that they wish they could do and couldn't do? But they don't have an excuse. Well, if I were 5'8", well, fuck, I'm 5'10". Well, never mind. That's the problem, is that when you step out of that box of, well, it just is what it is. When you step out of that, there are people who are going to go, oh, hold on. You may end up with a whole new set of friends. And that does happen. I've got a few friends that I've had my entire life. And I've also had friends that, when they see your success, they just don't want to see your success. They don't want to see it because it reminds them that they probably could if they just shut up and tried. That's a tough one. Well, it depends, Moon Monster. I've had some people that were quite a bit smaller than me that were strong as hell. and I've been choked out doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu by a 12-year-old girl. Let's just keep that between us, shall we? I was new. She was not new. And I had it coming. See, 250 pounds, that's some mass right there. Scandinavians are arming up to push. Ooh, hold on. The wave back south imminent for your information. 0 illegals in Poland. Oh boy. That's something that I would love to talk about on here, but I can't. I can't talk about that on TikTok. I will make a video tomorrow about that on YouTube. And the reason I say that, yeah, actually I can arm wrestle extremely well. Even for my size. I don't know why, but I just got lucky. 16s. Why, you gonna buy me some shoes? Just don't make them Nikes. Those are too skinny. Yeah, that's I actually got a pair of Shaq's shoes once. I've met Shaq. He's a really sweet guy, super nice. Yeah, just me and 226 other people. I love it. But I got a pair of Shaq shoes, and they're size 22. What I didn't know is after a certain size, instead of being an inch per size, it shrinks down to so Shaq shoes are too big for me. There's no question. But my toes were about that far from the end, and I wore them one day just to see if I could walk in them because they look so big. And I walked into my class, and I put my feet up on the desk, and my buddy looked over at me and he goes, "Are those Shaquille O'Neal shoes?" And I said, "How the fuck did you guess that?" And he goes, "Because he signed them, and I know what his signature looks like." And I said, "Oh, yeah, they are." And he goes, "What are you doing wearing them?" And I said, "They're shoes. It's what you do with shoes." And he goes, "You're a jerk, man. I can't believe you would wear those." So you know what I did? The next day, I wore the ones that actually did fit me that were from the Utah Jazz, signed by Karl Malone. Oh my God, he almost lost his mind. I got both pairs for free. A buddy of mine won them in some stupid thing, or like a raffle or something. He didn't give a shit about it, the NBA any more than I did, but he knew the shoes might fit me because Karl Malone's a size 16. So I wore them, and boy, was he pissed. Yeah, he's a super nice person. I mean, I really like Shaq. Yes, I will make that because the Scandinavia, Poland, basically Germany. I have some real fears about what is about to happen there. I believe that could be the flashpoint that nobody sees coming. That is what people are worried about in the United States happening with the civil stuff. That, look, man, Scandinavians are some of the mildest mannered people you'll ever meet. You might even call them boring as shit sometimes. Polacks too. My mother was born in Poland, and all the rest of my family's from Norway. So I know these folks, and they're very quiet people. If you said hello to one of them from across the street, "Hey, buddy, how you doing?" If you were in Norway, they would cringe like, "Oh God, why is he making an ass out of himself by yelling at me in public?" It's just the way it is. They're very conservative, very quiet, they're very sweet people. And when they finally get angry, it's a kind of anger that you can't imagine. You don't want to see. Well, that's the thing, is that they didn't hate socialism when the socialism was contained to the people that were homogenous to them, who looked like them, who acted like them, who appreciated it, who were part of their clan, if you will. We're all Norwegians here. We're all Germans here. We're all Polacks here. So yeah, we help each other. And that's what socialism is. You're basically you're saying that, look, we're all a family, and I'm willing to give up a little more to help those who don't have it. Okay, well, if that's the way that it's run, then you're okay. If there are people, if there's a group inside of your group that chooses to, how do I put this? If there are any individuals in your group who don't hold the same truths to be self-evident, who don't appreciate your society, your societal values, your lifestyle, who look at you as an easy target and or somebody to be taken advantage of. If you have that person or those people inside of your socialist system, they take everything and give back nothing on purpose. The idea of socialism is that we all pull as hard as we can, and for those who fall down, we help them back up so they can grab the fucking rope and keep pulling. And as long as that is the social understanding and there is a moral compass that everyone else has, you're great. You're awesome. Good night, Larry. You're great, because that's what you want. That's what socialism is supposed to be. If you have a group of people who stand off to the side and watch everyone else do all the work and go, we're so much better than these people, and we're going to make sure that we subjugate these people at some point, you're going to have a serious, serious problem. And that's what I think is about to happen in Europe. Yep. My mom's Polish, and my dad and his whole side of the family are Norwegian. That's funny too, because my dad had jet black hair and green eyes, and my mom had blonde hair and blue eyes. She kicked his ass. She won. What's funny though is I look just like him, but I've got her coloring totally. Domestic phrase. That's a good question. That is a good question. The thing is that you do have to wonder if there's a balance in a society and the people that are in charge of that society throw it out of balance on purpose, there must be another reason other than they're trying to govern their own people. You're not trying to govern your people. You're trying to do something that we all knew. I mean, we all knew back in the 80s, we knew this was not going to work. It was going to be a failure, and it has failed. Period. It's failed completely. Yes, we are talking about assimilation or lack thereof. And not just assimilation, but we're also talking about sort of the what's the right way of putting this so that we dance around the AI here. We're talking about look, we all know what happened on New Year's Eve in Frankfurt a couple of years ago. We all know that this is something that happens all the time. And we know that this is something that, if this were a different country, the perpetrators would be treated as harshly as you could possibly be treated. But they're being coddled, if you will, by a small group of government officials. And the question is, why would you do that? What good does that do? A small community that won't join the collective. But it's not just join. Look, there are places in the United States that are so fucking Italian. Look, there's Polacks in Chicago that have their own signs. I couldn't even read the fucking signs because they're in Polish and I don't speak Polish. But it's when you choose to isolate and then denigrate the people who don't do what you do, when you choose to publicly disparage your hosts and take advantage of them and their system and their generosity, now you're starting to go beyond just not assimilating, because it doesn't look like an accident anymore. It doesn't look like, hey, we're just having a hard time understanding the way you do things. It's like, we understand exactly how you do things and we hate you for it. but we're here because you're rich, and we're going to take everything we can, and we're going to make this beautiful place look just like the place that we ran away from because it was destroyed. Okay. Eventually, the people in those environments will learn to hate those folks, and that's a very, very dangerous place for Europe to be right now. It's an incredibly dangerous place. That's the problem. I have heard all about that, the sovereignty issue, and the fact that the vast majority of people in that group that were polled said they didn't like the word France. They didn't agree with the word France. But you're in France, baby. When in France, nope. That's a very old saying. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. Why is that so hard to understand? What's your prediction on the value of silver? Oh man, squeaky, that's easy. That's simple. A lot more. I mean, I said yesterday the gloves are off with the court ruling. So I'm saying that 65 was what I was calling for in the next 6 months, but I'm saying more like 100 now for sure. Yeah, that's yeah, Hollywood's a mess now. God, Hollywood is such a mess, and that's a serious issue. But again, you see the Hollywood on the outside, which is really sad. There is a core group in Hollywood that are really like artists. They're good people. They want to make movies. They want to have fun. They want to entertain people, and I just hope that they don't leave because of it. That's the issue right there, protecting your children, because some of the things that are going on over there right now are absolutely 100% unacceptable. They are not things that you can allow to happen, and they're happening. No, I don't think so. AI is not bringing actors down for a long time. We got time. Have you listened to Ali Carter? No. It sounds interesting. Ali Carter. I don't know. I know the name. I don't know why. Yeah, Jim's good guy. And obviously Dennis Quaid, good guy. He did Grid Down, Power Up. That was an interesting take. I didn't agree with all of it because I think there are more issues there than they talked about, but I think that they did the best they could. They did the best that they could with some of the things that would have caused them a huge amount of problems. Like if you just go and say, look, the government has turned a blind eye to the grid because, well, if the grid fails, then they can seize control in a way that you can't even possibly imagine. Because the chaos from a lack of electricity will lead to, according to the Department of Defense, a 90% mortality rate. Now, if that mortality rate is worldwide, then that means that a government like the United States government, who obviously knows this is coming, can then pop up afterwards and go, hey, we're with the government, we're here to help. The words that Reagan said were the most terrifying words, period. No, I did not vote for Bush. No, I didn't. Oh, and I didn't vote for Gore either. I didn't vote in 2000. I was pissed. I was pissed that those two idiots were the only people we got, because I knew about Gore too. I knew that he's a protected little child of wealth. ATF policy now allowing illegals to purchase, own, and carry arms. You know what? No idea at all. Well, I don't see how that's possible since you can't buy a weapon from anywhere in the United States I'm aware of without an ID at least. Well, if NC was a FEMA test, they failed. Just like they failed with COVID. Just like they failed with Katrina. Just like they failed with every single thing they've ever fucking done. They're a failure. Let's get rid of them. Let's get rid of FEMA. Let's get rid of the CIA. Let's get rid of the FBI. Let's get rid of the Department of Education and let the states do what they want. Because the states know that, look, if you educate your children well, then you get to make a shitload more money over the next 100 years. If you don't educate your kids, then you're going to be Mississippi. And the reason I can make fun of Mississippi is because Arizona is only 49th in the country. Thank you, Mississippi. Appreciate that. You kept us off the bottom. No, land in Arizona, in Florida, dropping in price. You better believe it is. Yeah, exactly. No one can buy anything. You can't buy potato chips without an ID in this country. So, all right, guys. I just realized it's almost 11 o'clock. So I have been on here for 3.5 hours now, and I enjoyed every minute of it. That was awesome. So, Koreatown. I love Koreatown, man. I dig it. Oh, your wife's from Korea? No shit. You lucky son of a gun. All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll talk about what the hell. I told you to remind me about something, but I forgot what it was already. So remind me tomorrow, and we'll have a good time talking about it. Good night, guys. Okay, now that I'm off of there, I can tell you guys, because this is forever. I think Europe's about to blow up into a civil war, but it's not going to be civil, and it's not going to be between Europeans. It's going to be between Muslims and Europeans, because the Muslim population as a whole may be very, very nice, kind people. I don't know. I do know this. I do know that you can't do sort of the insane things that they're doing to young women in those countries and not have guys like me lose their fucking minds. So it's getting worse and worse and worse by the day. It will blow up at some point. We'll just see when. So, all right, you guys, end in the stream. I'll see you tomorrow.